Yeah, it's that learning by doing and experimenting, and like that's also a valid way to figure stuff out.
I'm so glad it did, because I hated the way it looked before. I was just like, oh man, they're gonna get rid of me so quick when they look at this. Yeah, the light went on.
Yeah. Don't touch a thing.
I assumed it was my internet because ours is also pretty crummy. So amongst the four of us, it sounds like we bought the cheap plan, huh?
Well, hello everybody. I'm Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts here in Seattle, Washington. This is the Fun Table Sessions Round 3 in 2021. It is round, I believe, 22 overall, because these started at the end of July back in 2020 on the Alice virtual tour. And I've kept them going. They've kind of grown and expanded to what they are now. So this year I've done one per month, and I just kind of do them when I organically feel like I have some guests I would like to virtually come together, and we hang out for a while. So if you're not used to seeing me this way without my backdrop and my paintings and all that kind of stuff, it's kind of an indicator of that this is a fun table session when you can see like CDs and crap on my floor and stuff like that. So it's that loose, and hopefully if you're watching this in real time, or if you're watching this down the road, that you're having a decent Saturday night, and just kind of getting that hopefully little specks of hope of what's going to be happening here in the rest of 2021. And so the Fun Table Sessions, again, are designed to just bring some folks together, hang out, have some levity. And sometimes we talk about, things get a little serious at times, depending on the subject matter. And sometimes they're goofy as hell, and they might be a little gross, a little stupid, who knows. And so we are here for at least the next 2 hours, and we kind of go from there. So if you want to make a comment in the chat that's appropriate, or if you have a question for the guests or myself, please feel free to do so. Actually, I just see something just came in because I didn't change my settings. Hey, Industrial Girl, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. It has been a while. I hope you've been well down in East LA. I'm still here in Seattle doing what I do, obviously, because I'm here right now. And there's lots of things on the channel, on the YouTube channel right now. And speaking of which, before I get to my guests, I have my first YouTube giveaway, which is, so I've obviously done some giveaways actually during these. But I have my first YouTube giveaway, which is from WellGo USA. And I have my stack here. Make a nice little thing. So all of these Blu-rays, there's 9 of them, which are brand spanking new in the plastic with the slip covers, except for one which didn't come with a slip cover, are being given away on my YouTube channel. And oh, you got your first vaccine. Awesome. Hey, Tony, good to see you too as well. I have not gotten my first vaccine yet. I actually was just doing the finder yesterday to kind of see am I qualified yet, and apparently I'm not, even though I have some health issues and some other things, but apparently I still have to wait. So kind of go from there. But if you want to have a chance to win any of these, or actually not any, all of 9 of these Blu-rays, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Eclectic, then Arts, then WA. If you're not familiar with my channel, do that as a search, WA for Washington, and my channel should be the first thing that comes up. And there's a video there about 4 minutes long. It's also in the description. It gives you all the details. I know Tony's actually already put in several entries into this giveaway. It's going to end on Thursday, the 18th, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to put all the names into a generator, and somebody's going to be getting these. And I can't wait to give them to somebody, because I've reviewed every single film here except for the top one, which is Cosmo Ball. This actually just showed up on Monday, so I still need to watch my copy and do a review of it. But yeah, so I want to give a thanks to my current subscribers. And if you're a new subscriber, there's going to be another giveaway right after this one, which is going to be available to all the international guests, because I've had some messages saying, hey, Marco, what about us? And I was like, yeah, unfortunately, this is for the lower 48 in the US. So if you're in Alaska or Hawaii or international, I'm sorry, you can't, you're not eligible for this particular giveaway, but the next one you will be. And I'm not going to say anything more than that. So just kind of know I really appreciate the support from everyone. And I definitely need to thank Steve, who, for lack of a better term, I always put in these descriptions with the PayPal, which is this, that if I get such and such amount of money per month, then I break even. And Steve decided to make sure that I break even for the rest of the year. And so I was pretty blown away by that contribution. What he doesn't know, and most people don't know, is that I can actually add things to this package to make higher resolution, some other kind of things. I'm not trying to say that he needs to do that, but tips and donations are always appreciated. And only if you're in a position to do so, because I completely understand if you're not, because basically I'm not. And but yeah, thank you, Steve, for your generous donation. And now I have pressure to keep doing these through December. But no, I'm just joking. It's always my pleasure, and I look forward to doing it. And I'll take this off. That link is always in the description on the YouTube videos and also on the Facebook videos. So yeah, oh, thank you, Tony. Yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in and just supporting me with everything that you do. Industrial Girl as well, and Alex when he's here, and just a bunch of people that have been sending me messages and just are there during the live streams. That I am always pleasantly surprised and really kind of taken aback anytime someone decides to make a donation to me or just say something positive about what I'm doing. So I really sincerely do appreciate everybody supporting the channel and supporting what I do. It kind of lights a fire in my belly even more so. And hey, Steve, good. I was just talking about you. Good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well down in Texas. Again, I was just letting people know that due to your kind contribution that the basic needs of this channel are going to be met in terms of keeping these things going for the rest of this year for 2021. So anything beyond that is going to help me improve what I do gear-wise, resolution-wise, that kind of stuff. But in terms of being able to at least do the bare minimum, like what I'm doing right now, this will continue to happen through December. So now it's just up to me to get to booking guests and interviews. And I've already been starting to do that, so I'll talk about that in a little bit. And well, I guess I should talk about that now before I get to everybody, which is let's see, what do I know off the top of my head? Because an interview just got scheduled today, got confirmed Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Total Brutal is coming, and she is I would consider her like an alternative indie pop artist, and I was really fascinated by her work, and we've been talking back and forth for a couple weeks now, and so that just got scheduled, so I'll put that up on my Instagram. If you're not following me there, Eclectic Arts Media, one word on Instagram. Everything goes there first, and then eventually I migrated over to Facebook. And so she's on Wednesday, and then Rachel A., who I've mentioned before, from Colorado, she's going to be joining me on Thursday, and that's at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, because we're going to be into daylight savings starting 2 a.m. on Sunday tomorrow, and or take a vacation. You know what's kind of cool? I kind of mentioned this before, is that it's nice that I can actually do things when we have events coming back, that I can probably figure out a way to actually do these live stream interviews from the venue, from the green room, from the tour bus, as long as there's a strong Wi-Fi or an LTE signal going on, and kind of go from there. So there might be a case where you can actually see these things in real time right before the band takes the stage in a couple hours, or the artist goes on stage to sing their musical or do their theater. Can we suggest artists you might like? You can always do that. I love hearing about new artists, just like all of you do. And so if I can get turned on to somebody new that I might be interested in trying to reach out to and do an interview, you can always let me know either through these chats right now or DM me if you have a way to get a hold of me, and or just leave a comment somewhere. I always look at all the comments that come in through the different socials. And yeah, I'm always up for that kind of thing. That's how I found out about a lot of people. Sometimes they've come through press releases. Sometimes someone posted something on their own socials. I'm like, oh, who's this? I'll check it out for a little bit and kind of go from there. So I have no plans on stopping. I'm just going to keep on pushing forward. And as that transition starts to happen, where we maybe have that sprinkling of live events, maybe in the summertime or in the fall, then I'm kind of figuring out how to pivot from there. But I don't plan on disappearing anytime soon. And I just want to keep bringing as much content as I can that I organically like and support. And I can't think of a time where I've had an artist where I didn't like them and I still did an interview. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I'm the boss, so I can kind of do what I want. And that's not to say that those artists aren't talented. It just could be somebody that doesn't resonate with me at that time. So anything that's on my channel, it's there for a reason. It's because I support that person, what they do. I can also say that I have a very, it's called Eclectic Arts. I love all kinds of different artists. So if you don't like the opera, let's say, I understand that. 3 years ago, I didn't like the opera. If you're not into the ballet, I totally get that. So, but it's kind of like the circus. If you don't like the person being shot out of a cannon, maybe you'll like the 7 clowns crammed into a pinto. Maybe you don't like that. You'll like the high wire act. You kind of get the idea that hopefully there's something that you like that is on the channel that I'm doing. And the other thing I can kind of mention, which is, it might be a little bit premature, is that during the Alice tour, especially in the fall, we were talking about where the tables were going to be turned and the band was going to interview me. And, some things kind of came up, so we never kind of got that on the schedule. And I'll get a hold of you via Instagram. Okay, cool. Yeah, shoot me a DM, Industrial Girl. That'd be awesome to hear about some artists that you think I might be interested in bringing onto the show. And but it's been in the back of my head because I've been getting some questions about my background. Some other people have been asking me about how I started and what my interview style and all these kind of things. So that interview where I'm in the hot seat, it's in the works of being done. It won't be by the Alice members. It's going to be by somebody else. And I've already talked with her, and she's totally said she's honored to do it. So look out again on my Instagram. I'll be posting about when that happened. It might actually be within a week or so. So it might be happening fairly soon, where she will have carte blanche to pick apart Eclectic Arts, Mark Sugiyama, all of the above. And I'm looking forward to it because it's someone who's an amazing filmmaker. And so she's done documentaries. And so she's going to know how to dig in and find out what she wants to ask me. And so that's coming up soon. And one of my favorite bands of all time, this is a bit of a tease, their leader has told me he would absolutely do an interview with me. He's not only just going to do it by himself, he's going to actually get the rest of the band together, which I don't think has happened since this lineup got together. So they're in the midst of doing some things, but once he's ready to schedule that date, that's going to be happening. It's probably realistically going to be in April is my guess, but I'm super stoked about that because I have not done an interview with them virtually, and I have not talked to the 2 other band members really much at all. So if we can actually make this happen, that's going to be fun for me and for everybody else, because he's been kind of radio silent in terms of what's been going on with his band, and now he's ready to talk, and he's basically chosen me to do it. So lots of stuff coming up. I'm a supporter of physical media when I have the means. And this is one of the guests that I interviewed. This actually came today, which is Heart Healer. That's the metal opera from Magnus Carlsen in Sweden. And he told me specifically to put my earbuds in, grab a drink, and just let the thing play in its entirety to actually understand what's going on. And it's one of those type of storylines, a concept album, if you will, and it's symphonic metal. So if you're into that type of thing, which I am, I'm really looking forward to checking this out. And one of my guests, I'm expecting the physical media from his band any day now. So anyone that's watching this, if you're in a band or if you're an artist and you have something going on, don't forget your merch side of things. I know all the people in the chat, we support our bands that we like by trying to buy things from the respective artists that we like. And good grief, I realized at 7:16 I've been talking the entire time. So let me see what's going on here. And all right, so let's get to my guests. It's so nice to be able to do a fun table session. It's been, I think the last one was early February, so it's been maybe 5 weeks or so, 5-6 weeks. And my first guest is brand new to the Fun Tables. She is also brand new to this format that I've been doing because we have not done a formal interview, but I know her. We did a photo shoot, and we were just talking about this. I think it was like 2016-ish, and I've seen her band play, and I've seen her play with another local artist who used to live here. And so I'm really excited that she can join us for this in a really informal setting. So I'm going to bring in Anna St. Lee. Hi, Anna.
Hello.
How are you?
Doing great.
Awesome. Thanks for putting up with me rambling for so long.
No, it was a good introduction because it gave me kind of an idea of what I'm doing here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. that we have people. So like right now, when I do this, I can usually put this on the screen and it'll say, like, it says, welcome, Anna.
Okay.
And if I don't do that, then I'll just physically I'll just talk about it. But yeah, it's great to have you here. And I'm going to bring in our other guests. So the next guest that we have is a veteran of the Fun Table Sessions. She's done a few of them. She's also done a one-on-one interview during the Alice tour. She's done a written interview, which if you haven't read, from around May of last year, that's the first time that we connected. And it came from a YouTube video that she put up. I was just doing one of those kind of one night going deep diving into stuff of cover songs. I came across hers and I'm like, who is this? And then I just got lucky that I happened to find her on Facebook. And then we connected that way. And then here we are in March of 2021, doing a virtual hangout session. So bringing in, who's our late person, because it's like 10:18 over there, Leah Ingram. Hey,
Hi,
Leah.
guys. Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's good to have you back. Good to see you again.
Always good to be here.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It has, for sure.
I think, when was that last one?
I think it was before the holidays. I'm trying to remember what hair color I had at the time. That's usually a good gauge of where I am.
Yeah, I think it was definitely before the holidays, so maybe September-ish, somewhere in there.
Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah. That was so long ago.
That sounds right, because then Alice went on their third leg of the tour in October. And then after that, it was getting closer to Halloween and Thanksgiving and all that stuff. And,
yeah.
But I don't trust my memory anymore, so don't quote me on that. Someone can go look on the YouTube channel and try to figure out if that's when it was. But I think it was then.
It sounds about right.
Okay, and see that people are saying there and there. So
hi, everybody.
hello to you. And let's bring in our third guest, who I just did a one-on-one interview with, not one-on-one, but with his band, with he and his wonderful musical partner, Scott David, and their EP just dropped yesterday, Friday. So if you haven't checked it out, hey, Night Stalker, good to see you as well. Wow, this is awesome. We got a lot of people joining us. They're all joining from Twitch. So that tells me you're most likely an Alice fan at some point, because that's where all the Alice tour stuff happened. But his band, the Bearing Project, oh my gosh, the Bearing Kind, sorry. He can give me a hard time about that when I bring him on. Just dropped yesterday, and so I'm really stoked to have him join us. And so let's welcome Dan Milligan. And come on, there we go.
Hey there, how are you?
Good, Dan, how are you?
Good. It's weird. We just did this like 5 or 6 days ago, and I'm back already.
Yeah, thanks for joining me, and sorry for butchering your band's name.
It's okay. No problem. You're not going to offend me, I promise.
Good. Bad Mark. Yeah, bad me. I know. I've hardly had anything to drink too, and I already butchered someone's name. That's really bad. But no, thank everybody here for joining us. And again, if you're in the chat and you want to ask a question, you got a comment about something or something that somebody says, obviously you're free to put that in there, and we just kind of roll with things. So here we are in March, and I'm curious from everybody, what's something that's been kind of a maybe not even a highlight, but maybe something positive that's been going on for you recently?
I'm getting a kitten.
Oh.
So we lost our cat in July, and there's been a little bit of like a kitten-shaped hole, in our family. So our good friends, they recently adopted a pregnant stray, and she had 5 little kittens, and we are going to take one. So that's kind of the new exciting stuff going on at my house right now.
That's so exciting.
Yep. So I love the chaos of too many animals. I guess I just keep getting more.
What other animals do you have?
We have 3 dogs. They're all around here somewhere. Hopefully they'll stay remotely quiet.
How are they going to do with a kitten around?
I think for the most part they'll do okay. Our husky has personal space issues, so he will probably follow it around incessantly for like the first at least week.
Wow. And when are you expecting to bring the kitten home into your home?
I think another month or so. They have to be weaned from mom, spayed and neutered, all that stuff. We're not sure exactly which one we're taking yet. I know it's going to be a black cat. But besides that, we're not like 100% on anything. But yeah, so we're pretty excited about that.
Do you have a name picked out yet?
Okay, so if it's a boy, we like Guillermo. If anybody watches What We Do in the Shadows,
I do.
I
love that
we thought it would be so funny to just be, you'd see a cat walk by and go, Guillermo. So that's kind of our favorite at the moment. I'm sure it'll change 100 times, but
Love that.
And if it's a girl, is there any ideas or no?
The one that I think we're taking, it looks like a little bat. So I also like Mavis for a girl. Because we like Hotel Transylvania.
Awesome. Well, that's exciting news that you're going to be getting a new kitten within probably a month or so's time. And Anna or Dan, something you want to throw out there that's been making you feel good lately?
Obviously, and this was what we were just talking about last week. My band, The Varying Kind, just released our first EP yesterday. So, we were working on this project in complete secrecy for months and months and months, for a complete year, basically. And so to just be able to put it out in the world and finally tell people what we're doing, let them hear what we're doing, it just felt so good to be able to finally do that.
That's exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah, especially, I mean, you know how it is when you're just working on a project for so long. And it's one of those things I kind of don't like to jinx things. If it's possible, I like to keep things under wraps. I don't like to talk too much about what I'm about to do. I just would rather do it and then show you when it's completely done. So in the meantime, it makes me crazy because I want to talk about it. I want to tell people and I want to play the music for them. So yesterday was completely satisfying.
That's awesome. Release day is always the most exciting because it feels like everything finally comes to like that point where you're like, this is it. This is the moment I've been waiting for.
Exactly. And especially because this was our first release for this thing. So it's kind of the launch of the band as well as the EP. So it was doubly satisfying.
Very cool.
That's exciting. What type of music is it?
That particular project is very like alternative shoegaze sort of music. Okay. If you like bands like see, I hate this question. It's always hard.
It's the worst question.
I know. I should get better at it than I am. It's got a lot of kind of throwback sounds to the kind of shoegaze bands like Slow Dive, a little bit like the Smiths. I've heard Joy Division, that sort of 80s sound, but with mostly guitars. And I've heard it expressed that it's kind of like a throwback in a certain way, but also kind of current. So I'll say that.
Cool. Super.
Yeah, no, I can also throw in, and Dan, like he just said, we talked about this during our Band on Me interview, that it was so good that I needed to buy it. Even though I had access to all the tracks and all that kind of thing, courtesy of Dan, ahead of time, it's like, no, this is so good. I want to have my actual copy of this. So it's coming at some point. So I've already ordered it.
Oh, it's on its way. Yeah, it's on its way, buddy.
So
that's awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah, I really am stoked to be able to actually blast that through. Well, not blast it since I live in an apartment, but you know what I mean. Just have it loud enough that I can kind of feel it.
If you want to check it out, it's the name of the band is The Varying Kind, and we got a Bandcamp page where you can hear the whole thing if you're interested.
It's burying, like BURYING.
BURYING, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's where it's at. And then Anna?
Oh, let's see. What's exciting in my world? So probably my work stuff. So I teach horseback riding lessons and train horses for a living. And I went from doing that like sort of part-time pre-pandemic to now it's like overtime hours every week. So I like blew right past doing it just regular full-time and just like went from part-time to now it's like 80 hours a week.
Oh, wow.
So it's been cool to like, cause I've been working with horses forever, but, this is like my business. And I only started my actual LLC maybe a year and a half ago. And COVID has been very good for the horse world because it's like a naturally socially distant sport. And so there's like, we wear masks, but otherwise we don't have to really alter anything that we do. So everyone has decided that this is the year that they learn to ride a horse.
Wow.
What's the explosion about? Is it just that people are sick of being inside and doing that sort of thing? They're just looking for an outdoor activity to do right now?
Yeah, it's an activity that you can still do safely without like super high risk of transmission. And so I think anyone who's like ever considered doing horseback riding is now like, okay, it is time.
Awesome.
Nice. Well, and Anna, you mentioned you've been doing it for a long time. When did you start yourself with horses?
I started riding when I was 5. So like,
Oh, wow.
basically my whole life. And then I started doing it professionally when I moved out here in 2014.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
awesome. That's dedication.
Yeah. It's the type of sport that like you kind of have to be in it for your whole life to like actually get good at it. It's similar to like
Well, because you
ballet
also
or
have
any
to
other
learn
professional
how to.
sport.
Well, because with ballet and things like that, it's very demanding, but it's demanding of yourself. You have to also learn how to create that same environment for a whole different creature and like teach it to listen to what you're trying to tell it. So, yeah, very impressive to be able to do that. I just lost my headphones.
Oh no.
And I'm just curious, since I know nothing about horse riding or being equestrian or anything like that. So when you have somebody brand new coming to take lessons from you who's never been on a horse, near a horse, what do you start them with? What do they have them do?
The very first thing is like safety rules of like how to not be an idiot around a horse. And then once they're, for as far as like the riding part, everybody starts basically like on a lead line. So like me on the ground, horses on a short rope next to me, and we just walk. And you just get to like learn how to walk on a horse, and you learn how to steer and stop. And then once you've mastered those things, then you get to go a little faster and learn all of those things, but a little faster, and then just keep progressing like that.
Okay. Wow. Anytime I see like I'm a fan of the show Yellowstone, so anytime I see like that cowboy stuff when they're riding on a horse, I just think about my back hurting.
Yeah, it is definitely not a job that is kind on your body.
Okay. I see this comment came in actually for Leah from Tony. So he dropped the ball. He's a DM you about setting up a photo shoot.
A photo shoot. Yeah, set me up. DM me up.
Or whatever the kids say.
Right.
Slide in my DMs.
I think that's it. Yeah, you found it.
Oh yeah, I've talked about this before, but for me being the age that I am, I don't know what's going on with the kids, or even the kids of the kids. I don't know what's going on when they start talking about certain things. I'm totally lost. It's like I'm a dinosaur at this point, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. But if you use any kind of slang or lingo around me, that's what all the young people are doing. I'm a step away from saying get off my lawn.
Mark, I'm kind of with you, and especially because I don't have kids of my own. So a lot of my friends do, so I'm around some. But I think people who are parents kind of know because they hear this stuff from their own kids all the time. I hear nothing. I have no idea what those slangs are anymore. No.
No.
Not that I need to, because I really don't. But it's just I'm feeling you right there.
I was talking about this with a client today, actually. I think it was like a senior in high school, and we were just talking in general about like how, because I work at a salon, I do hair, and there's this big thing going around right now that you can't have a side part anymore, and you can't wear skinny jeans anymore, and all these things, and I'm like, if you don't have the right face shape, this is what I do for a living, like. But yeah, there's just stuff that
to a certain extent,
it's like
you would kind of have to know that stuff, right? I mean, if you're doing that sort of work.
I know. I was like, okay, I know it's trendy, but you can't tell somebody they can't do it.
Right.
I recently got on TikTok, which is like where all
I haven't
of the
done that
youths
yet.
are exchanging information about how to be cool. And I have never felt older or less cool than when I opened TikTok and was like, oh my God, I am not relevant to society at all anymore.
Right. I don't have one because I don't think I have any more need to be glued to my phone, but I'm already like seeing myself, like they'll be on Instagram or they'll be other places and it has the little TikTok logo. So I'm like, I'm still watching them. I'm just not on the
app. Right.
So I'm sure it's only a matter of time before I get there, but I don't have the TikTok app, but I'm just waiting for that realization myself.
It's frightening. It's really frightening.
And Anna, I just joined TikTok myself.
Oh, really?
And only because one of my guests, we were talking off camera about, Mark, have you made a TikTok? It might be a good way to document, your process of what you do with interviews and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, don't you have to like dance or something on there? That's all like people like doing goofy dance videos. And here I was late one night, it's like, well, let me download this app and see what it's like. And I haven't done anything other than I think one goofy ass post. I don't know if I'm going to go back to it because I just feel so out of my element.
Totally.
with
it's so weird.
And all of just like all of the other social media platforms, it has its own like vibe of like how you're supposed to post and what it's supposed to look like and like the whole aesthetic. And I have not posted anything because I'm like, I don't know how to master that aesthetic. I have no idea what you guys
are doing. It's all trial and error, probably. Just see what works, see what doesn't. And there's different niche like markets from what I've heard. It's like there's like cleaning TikToks, and then there's dancing TikToks, and then there's like parenting TikToks. There's all these like just different like there's a million of them you probably will never ever see, but like there's like life hacks and all these just crazy different things. So it's like there's a jillion different avenues, I'm sure, of things that you can somehow get lost in like a rabbit hole of them. But yeah, creating, I'm like, how do you even?
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Me either.
Yeah.
Whoever's watching, if you have any tips on how to be cool on TikTok, let us know.
Or just how to be cool at all.
Yeah.
Send help.
Help us.
Yeah. I'm seeing like Industrial Girl saying it's okay, I don't have one either. I don't want it. Night Stalker saying I'm just going to move to Wyoming. Get away from all this.
That will solve all the problems.
Drop most of the social media except for Facebook, but even that might be going.
Oh gosh.
And I totally get that, because especially after 2020, it's like there's so much stuff that was coming through on social media. It's like, I need to take a break from this. Oh, wait a minute, I'm a media outlet. I need to have something still going. But personally, I rarely posted anything about myself, about what's actually going on in my life. And
well, I think that's part of it too, because taking on an additional one seems crazy at this point, right? I mean, like the ones that I'm even on are kind of a pain in the ass at times. So doing something so additional seems crazy to me at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I told that guest, I said, no, I don't plan on making a TikTok. And then there's a stupid app on my phone. But yeah, I haven't done anything with it other than that one. I think it was, I know what it was. I was sitting on my couch and I have the Crow movie poster behind me. So that's why I said, well, let me find something and film that. And I don't know. It's just the only thing I could think of, because I was too lazy to actually get up and do anything in front of my phone. So
you didn't want to do the dance?
Not right now. People might try to send medics to me if they see me dancing.
Well, funny story. I actually popped my knee out of the socket once doing the worm.
Oh, no.
That's amazing.
That's my one really funny story that I have.
Now,
other than that, my life is pretty boring.
Not to dwell on this, but if you're doing the worm, how did that work? How did you pop your knee out?
I was in a dress that was tight, and I couldn't move my leg the right way, I think.
Oh.
I don't really know. It all happened really fast. I didn't even know it happened at first. It was like everything was happening in slow motion. It was really crazy.
That is a terrifying thing for me to hear, because I have like a phobia of kneecaps.
Oh yeah,
in the same way
weird.
that people don't like.
I don't like eyes.
Eye
like
stuff.
I'm
really
totally with you. It's a kneecap now. Like if I fall asleep in a certain position, like I'll wake up and it'll just hurt really bad, and I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna wake up and it's gonna be, my kneecap's gonna be like over there.
Oh my god, yeah, that's my worst fear. just floating kneecaps.
Floating.
Horrifying.
I love that you guys share that, because I've never really heard that from anybody else. It's hilarious that both of you find the same thing about kneecaps.
Well, I do now.
Oh yeah, post-worm. Yeah.
Yeah, post-worm incident. I definitely have a little bit of a kneecap thing.
Yours is reasonable. Mine is just I like learned that kneecaps can do that, and then was scared of them.
I didn't even know that it was that they moved that way, and then it moved, and I was like, oh no, what do I do?
Let me put. Hi, Rob. Good to see you from YouTube. Let me just put this on there. He's talking about the younger generation trying to find something that the previous generation can't figure out, just to stay a step ahead.
Oh, I absolutely think what happens. I mean, that's the job of people who are young. That's the job of people who are teenagers, is to confuse their parents, to come up with a bunch of stuff that they don't love. And I love that. I mean, like that's how it should be. 100%. That's how it should be. It's just funny to be on the other end of it now, because I remember so clearly, being the young person who was doing that, and now it's like with no frame of reference. It's just funny to be on the old side of it, I guess.
Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah, and I sing Industrial Girl saying I popped mine in high school. Oh, okay.
Oh
no.
gosh. Me too. I was 16. I was in show choir, and I was out for the season after that.
Oh no.
I was doing like the hand motions on like the side stage, and somebody thought I was like the sign language interpreter. My glory days, you guys. I peaked.
Oh,
That's awful.
wow. Does anybody else have any kind of things like that? Well, not with a kneecap, but I don't. Did I have?
Horrifying childhood stories.
Yeah, I fractured. Go ahead, Dan.
I was just gonna say, I have to tell you, I'm a professional drummer by trade, and so any sort of like physical ailment, things like that, it makes me so nervous, even to hear your stories like that, because I need all four of my limbs just to make my living. So like broken bones, stuff like you're talking about with your kneecap and everything. It's every time I hear that, it's like, oh God, no, it can't.
Yeah, but how much damage have you done to like your hands and your fingers?
I've been playing since I was 5.
So probably a lot.
I don't know. It's one of those things that I grew up taking lessons and learning the right way. So I wouldn't really call it damage necessarily.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like if you build the certain muscles the right way and you learn how to do it correctly. There was a point in time where like I had some back issues, and I kind of had to relearn how to sit at the drum set and do that particular thing. But I don't think I would call it damage necessarily. I barely, I'm one of those people now. I've been doing it for so long. Well, before this past year, I've taken the past year off, which has been insane. But I mean, before that, I could easily sit down and play for 4 or 5 hours straight and not blink. So
wow.
And I think it's just training. I mean, it's like long distance running, or it's like doing anything like that. If you continue to do it and you continue to train at it, you're not going to hurt yourself, really.
Yeah. I just know I have so many friends that are drummers in professional settings, and they're like, yeah, this one time I like had to glue my finger back on and it was fine. And I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, this stuff just happens all the time. And I'm like, how? But
well, that doesn't sound good. I'll say this. I mean, back when I was a teenager and just learning how to do that, and I was playing shows, and I mean, blisters for days, and just, it's not a pretty process.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's not a pretty process to get yourself accustomed to doing that sort of thing for hours a day. But I think by now I'm used to it. What I'm kind of worried about is when I go back to my job here in a few months and I can finally start playing again, there's a part of me that's definitely going to be out of shape. It's going to be very strange. And I'm hoping that my hands cooperate, and I'm hoping that, I'm not gasping for breath, I guess.
Yeah, I have the same fear with going back to playing music. I'm a vocalist, and so it's like if you're not, it's an actual muscle. So if you're not utilizing that muscle in the same way that you're used to, then it does deteriorate a little bit, and I'm like terrified for what it's gonna feel like and sound like when we are back. Like I still am like playing and singing and writing and stuff, but I haven't played a full length set in over a year now, which is really crazy to think about. So who knows?
We had a few months off. We took basically the entire summer off, and then when it got okay, they were finally figuring it out kind of in the fall how to host some events that were safe and distanced and outdoors. Mm-hmm. So we did a handful of those, and just in those 5 to 6 months, the singing especially, not the drumming, I was totally fine playing. I sing a lot of backup vocals during the course of the night, and my voice just shit out like halfway through. I hadn't been singing at all, so it's a lesson that was a hard one to learn. I'm trying to figure out going back in a couple of months. What exactly am I going to do to get back into shape vocally?
Mm-hmm.
That's my dryer.
Oh.
I thought there was some sort of warning up on the screen here.
I have my headphones on, so I was like, oh, maybe it's far enough away from my microphone, you won't hear it. Everybody started going like this. I should have just not said anything. I wonder what everybody would have done.
Yeah, right.
And I was looking around earlier because my dog was also walking around a little bit ago. He takes shoes, and there's like a shoe on the ground over here. And so earlier I saw him just sneaking over, like circling this shoe, and I was like, he's about to just take that and run away with it.
Did he do it?
There's a lot going on. No, I think he saw that I was like on to him, and I'm not sure where he went. I think he's actually in the laundry room. His bed's in there. So that's like his room.
Cute.
I have a dog that does the same thing. She'll test with it. She's like, like all of 8 pounds or whatever, but things that are on or near the floor, she'll test and she'll take them and she'll try to own them. Or she'll run up and hide them in her bed and stuff like that until you take it away, and she knows. But it's funny, like she tries to figure out exactly what in this house belongs to her,
what's hers and what's not. Yeah. My dog, I think he kind of knows specific. Like he'll always find the shoes that like you just wore. Like it's always, and he also something that he does every night. We get into bed and we get ready to go to sleep, and he comes into the bedroom and we have to take off the socks that we were wearing that day. Because we both always wear long socks, and then we fold them up, and then we give them to him, and then he takes them into his bedroom, and that's like our nightly routine. It's like the weirdest thing, but it's so cute. So he just has like a collection of he has like socks, and then when my husband will take a shower, he's like one of those people that he'll just like leave his pajama pants or whatever like on the bathroom floor. So he'll go in there and he'll take those. So there's like pajama pants and socks, and then there's like a pair of shoes, or like just one shoe, one of my shoes, one of his shoes. And over time it just becomes this like pile of stuff. So I was like, he has like an octopus garden in there. He just like has like a just like pile of things.
And he doesn't like chew on them or eat them or anything.
No,
he needs to have them there.
He just wants you to know that he has them.
Cute.
He's not like a chewer by any means. He's a collector, a hoarder, if you will.
That's adorable.
He's a husky.
Oh, that's
yeah.
You said you had 2 or 3 dogs?
Yeah, I have 3. I also have a Sheltie. I think he's probably in with Nick at the moment. He is Nick's shadow. So anywhere Nick goes, he is bound to be. And then Beans he might be sleeping on the couch right now. But I also have like a very small, he's probably 11 pounds, but a little lap dog too. So we've got our hands pretty full. Oh, here he comes. I don't know if I can flip my camera. Let me see if I can just turn it so you guys can see him.
Must have heard you talking about him. Oh.
What are you doing?
So cute.
He's like, I'm on lots of
so cute.
He's like, I'm on lots of pain medication right now. So he's got an old man back. He's in recovery mode. So he's just like walking around like he has no idea what's going on. But he's functioning pretty well, so that's all that matters.
Leah, I'm noticing your tattoos, and I'm just dying to see them. Like, if you don't care, I'm curious to see.
Sure.
Especially this hand.
I'm like
your right hand.
I'm like everything's backwards, so I keep thinking I have to turn.
I know.
This way.
I do the same thing. Yeah. So it's your right hand, but what do you got going on there on the?
So these are all. Oh my gosh! See here, here I'm going again. So these are alchemy symbols. Most of my arm is all like pirate related in some way, shape, or form. It goes all the way up, and I've got an anchor, I've got a ship in a bottle, all these different kind of piratey things. So the alchemy symbols actually are like saltwater, silver, and gold.
Awesome. What's the meaning behind the pirate stuff?
I grew up, and this is obviously like not even close, but like I grew up like on the lake. And so I've always been really into like boats and just like the idea of like kind of nautical related things, and big fan of Pirates of the Caribbean. There's a couple of things directly from the movie that I've got. So I just, I don't know, it fascinates me that was actually like, I think of like, you know, like how cowboys actually existed. You know, it's like pirates actually existed. It almost seems like this mythical thing, but they were actually like real people. And I don't know, something about that is just like, so just like fascinating to me.
So you did an entire sleeve that's pirate related.
Yeah, just about.
Awesome. How about the other side? Nothing, or?
I have everything I have is concentrated to the right side. So I have my nose pierced on this side, and then all of my tattoos are on the right side of me. So I have a couple other ones, but she does that way too?
She does everything on the left. Yeah, she has everything, all her tattoos, all her piercings, everything left side.
Oh, see, that's interesting. See, we're opposites.
Totally. And it's weird to me. I think that's really strange because I'm a drummer, so everything to me has to be balanced.
Yeah, it's symmetrical.
That's like the most important thing. Everything balanced between left and right. So just having one side. That's why I got a tattoo here, and so I had to do the other side. Because having just one felt weird.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people are kind of like that. I think a lot of people want that, like, that balance of kind of having everything. Like some people I think will start one arm and they start one arm and they want them both done, you know, finished all at the same time. But yeah, I don't know. I always thought, like, I don't know, it was something stupid that when I was younger, I was like, if I turn this way from this side, I just look like a completely like normal blank human being. And then on this side is the side where it looks like, you know, I've got all kinds of decorations.
I love it. It's such a weird move. I love it.
Thanks.
I mean, to just do all ones, and it's not like you just have a few on the right. I mean, it's like, it's extreme.
Well, I'm hoping to. I mean, I'm sure eventually I'll run out of space and I'll decide to do stuff on the other side. But sure. I guess we'll see. There's still lots of time and lots of space. So now, do you have? Is that the? You said you have one on each arm.
I do, yeah, and that's it. I only have two at this point. There's more. You know what? My wife. What's that?
And are those? Do those have like a meaning for you?
Oh yeah, they're actually band related. My we talked before about the band, the Varying Kind, but my kind of other thing that I do is this industrial group called the Joy Thieves, and it's very fun, and I get to work with a lot of people who I consider like my musical heroes from like the industrial rock world. So I started that band like 3 years ago, and everything went really, really well, and it's become a whole thing. So the very first one that I got was our logo. Here,
Oh, that's cool.
There, you can see it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got the logo, and it says Joy Thief, and a lot of members of the Joy Thieves got them.
Oh, that's cool.
Cool.
So the other one's going to be harder to see. It's the light's not helping here. It's honeycomb with bees coming out of it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the light's not doing good things to it. But our first record was called "This Will Kill That," and it was inspired by a bunch of nightmares that I was having. That there were how do I want to say, parasites of all types infesting my body.
Whoa.
Oh, scary.
So one of those nightmares involved being completely filled internally with bees.
So, oh God, that's terrifying.
So it is terrifying. And it's very spooky, and it became this kind of thing that our very first EP was kind of written about it. And so this is, you know, it's basically like a honeycomb on my skin. Like you're looking in and the bees are coming up out of my skin.
Oh, wow.
This was a nod to our first record. So since then we've done a couple more, and I'm going to get tattoos for each additional one. But for the past year, we just haven't been going, you know, like we just didn't want to get into all that. Some people are doing that, I know, but my wife and I have been very safe for the past year. So, and it was just our 20th anniversary last year. And years ago, when we very first got married, my wife asked me if we could get matching tattoos for our 20th anniversary. And at this point, I didn't have any, and I wasn't really interested in getting any, but I agreed to it anyway because it's my wife. So why not? And so then that was in January. And right as we were about to make the appointments in March, COVID hit. And so we just haven't had a chance yet. So
when is your wedding anniversary?
it was in January.
January what?
January 15th.
Oh, mine's the 16th.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. What year though?
2018.
Okay.
You're winning. You're winning by a long shot.
Yeah. Ours was all the way back in 2000, but.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we're definitely going to get matching tattoos of some kind, and I'm letting her.
Do you have an idea of what you guys want?
You know, we've talked about it a little, and basically from way back when, I just decided it's like whatever she wants to do.
Oh, okay.
I'm totally cool with. So this is how much I trust my wife.
That's good. Well, she must have good taste then, right? If you're willing to just let her decide what's going to be on you forever and ever.
Yeah, I mean, she's got to be the one who has to look at it, I guess. So she's not going to make it.
Very true. Very true. That's fair.
So yeah, there's like 3 or 4 at this point more that I want to get, and I'm just kind of waiting for the time where things open back up again and I can do it.
I gotcha. Well, that's cool.
How about you, Mark? Tattoos?
Yeah, really quickly. Hi, Captain Blackwood down in Las Vegas. Good to see you again, and for joining us. And hello, Bill, who is related to someone on this panel right now.
Hi, Dad.
And, most people know that my mom almost always watches these live streams. So hi, Mom, if you're watching this, I'm assuming you are. And I see that Industrial Girl's talking about she has a lot of 9 tattoos, but most of them are like band tattoos or things related to music. And Dan, to answer your question, the one time I'm wearing long sleeves. Normally I'm not, but so I'll start with I guess the newest one, which is actually pretty old. So I've got the infinity, within infinity symbol on my wrist. So my good friend has it on her left. So we have matching ones, and it was supposed to be that our friendship would last forever, you know, all that kind of thing. And I told her, like, if it doesn't, then to me it means life goes on. That it's infinity within infinity. So, but we're still friends. So,
I was going to ask.
all is still good there. Knock on wood. The very first one I ever got was, oh gosh, let's see, my forearm.
Oh yeah.
Which is, it's supposed to be it's this
I got it.
guitar chord coming out, meaning that I'm always plugged into music. So like there's the bone structure, the fat cells, all this kind of stuff here.
Right.
Because I'm a musician and been a music junkie all my life. So, and this one I remember we actually had autopsy photos that he was using for reference to make it as real as possible. And it was grossing out some of the other clients that were in the shop. Because
I love that stuff.
Yeah, it was like it was a communal area. So there's 4 stations, so everybody can kind of see what other people are being worked on. And
right.
I still remember that girl. She was looking over and it's like, oh my God, what is that? Because you could see those pictures all like on his wall. It's like, it's for this guy. I need to use it for reference and stuff. And then both of my elbows are kind of the same way. They're taken off like this, just kind of like skin flap things.
Yeah.
This is on this one. It's on this one. So he actually drew those onto my to fit my body shape and all that kind of thing.
Nice.
And then I have some people. My mom just said hi. Hi, Mom.
Does your mom know about these tattoos?
She does. She's seen them. She's seen my tattoos, and some people, like I know, Rob was just in here, who's a Soap Girls fan, and I'm not sure if he's still in here, but I've talked about that. I've also have a couple scars on my upper arms that were intentional scars. They weren't accidental scars or anything. Not to gross anybody out, and I won't get into too many details, but there's a band called Cancer Slug, who I love. They're an old school punk band from 1999, still going strong. And if you're a hardcore fan, and if you're a little bit crazy, their founder will either, what they call, take the mark. And what that means is that he will take a pocket knife and carve the initials of Cancer Slug into your flesh.
Dude.
Or he will take a brand and brand it onto you wherever you want on your body.
That's hardcore, dude.
Well, legally? You can just brand people like, hey, come on over to the merch table. I've got this branding iron.
So I'll tell this story. I don't know if it's legal. I don't know if it's legal, Leah. But I am a hardcore Cancer Slug fan. This singer also now sings for Doyle from the Misfits, his solo project.
Okay.
And, so I've interviewed Doyle a few times on the tour bus, and so this singer would be there. And since I'm a Cancer Slug fan, so I'm like, hey, I'll interview Doyle and I'll start talking about Cancer Slug stuff with this other guy off camera. And I remember the band was coming to town in 2018. I was like, hey man, I want to take the mark. I want to take the Cancer Slug mark after I do the interview. And he was like, stupidly, I said, do you have a knife with you on tour? And he's like, Mark, I always have a knife with me.
So how much like sanitation do we feel like happens between carving initials into people?
Not a whole lot.
Yeah, that sounds
there's a lot. There's some risk there for sure. Maybe a lot of risk. And my mom is aware of this, so she's seen it. And I'm not going to show it right now, but there's actual video of both of them happening. So I have it done on both shoulders 2 different times.
Wow.
Dude.
Yeah. And
so you went over like scar tissue? It can't feel good. I mean,
well, that's what's interesting is that the first time, which was on my right shoulder back in March of 2018, the knife he had was kind of dull.
Oh shit! I thought you were talking like way back in the day. This is recent.
This is recent, yeah.
Wow.
And then the band came back in December of 2018. So I'm like, hey, let's do this one on the left side. And that one was actually worse because it was sharp, and it kind of dug in deeper, I think.
Oh no.
So yeah, it's all raised there. It's all scarred up. You can see the C and the S. And my mom, who when she first saw this one on my right, she said, hey, you got my initials carved into your flesh, because those are her initials.
Oh my gosh.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, instead of a mom tattoo, I got the CS, which again, that's my mom's initials.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
It's like the hardcore equivalent of like the mom with the heart thing.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember back in the 90s, and Mark, you probably do too. I mean, doing brands and stuff was a thing back then that people did. I mean, I haven't heard of it for years and years, but I mean, it wasn't, I don't say it was common, but I mean, everybody certainly knew that it happened, and people got that sort of thing frequently back then. So,
yeah, absolutely. And the first time I did it, again, I was on the Doyle tour bus, and so Doyle didn't know what was going on, what was about to happen. I said, hey, I call him Mr. Doyle. I don't just call him Doyle. So, hey, Mr. Doyle, do you mind videoing this? So he just grabbed my phone. He didn't know what was going to happen. And then you can actually hear him off camera say, oh, shit. So I get that little, I guess, accolade that the person that filmed this thing happening was actually Doyle Wolfgang von Frankenstein of the Misfits filming me.
I saw a picture on your Facebook page of you and him, and I was wondering how that had went down.
Yeah, I met him initially back in 2014, and he gave me some, in fun, he gave me some shit about the shirt that I was wearing, because like, hey, where'd you get that Doyle shirt? And it was from a convention that wasn't well attended that he was at. And so we were kind of talking about that, and then that was the first interview I did with him was in 2015, then again twice in 2018. And yeah, he's actually a really cool guy. He's very misunderstood. That's probably the biggest thing I can say about that guy, because people say, oh, he doesn't like to do interviews and he's really short with his answers. Like, no, he's actually he's very direct, and he's very actually polite, and he's a little shy. But they see him all built and ripped and all that kind of thing. Plus his history with the Misfits, they figure he's like some crazy gregarious guy. That's not him. That's not him at all. So he's been really.
Yeah, the stage persona is so over the top, right? I mean, like I can see why people would think that. It's interesting that he's not.
Yeah, he's just kind of a really chill dude, and he's got a really kind of interesting sense of humor. But yeah, I've been fortunate to get to know him, and again, Alex from Cancer Slug, who's his singer, and then the not tour manager, the bus driver, Ed. If Ed is watching this later on, I've done some interviews with Ed, and he's told some really great road stories. And he was actually there the second time, so he watched that, and he was like, Mark, I've seen you take a knife. I'm not messing with you. And I'm like, okay. And Ed's like 6'5" or something like that. A really kind of
my gosh,
bigger dude. But yeah, so I got to know a lot of those guys in that band and their crew, and they're super cool guys. But what I do, the brand, I don't think I could deal with that, which is kind of ironic for me to say, but that's like, I think my limit. If someone's going to sit there and heat up a brand and try to stick it into, yeah, that's a bit much.
I feel like I could process like the pain of like a like sharp object, but like a burn, like healing from a burn is just like, I feel like that would just be awful.
I'm feeling the opposite. I feel like I would prefer the burn sensation to have, like, because it's hot and then it goes away and then you probably have pain afterwards. But with the carving, you have to sit through the carving, which I imagine takes like some time, right?
It would take longer than a brand, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
That's true. That's an interesting point of view.
Regardless, I don't think I love any band enough to let them do either of those things to me.
Nope.
Yeah. So, and somebody asked me, like, through the Cancer Slug like fan group or whatever, saying would I do a third one? And I'm like, where? I mean, like on my leg or something, or I don't know. So just get another one on your shoulder. You have two on each.
And then at that point, when do you stop? Like, you know,
just get one every time you see each other.
Yeah.
Maybe, it'll be like a notch on my bedpost.
Yeah, a tally mark.
It'll be on my body permanently.
Forever.
Well,
you know, I just like a month ago, I was watching this show. I'm mildly addicted to these documentaries now that they have about cults of all different kinds, which I've
oh yeah.
And one of them was about the Nexium cult, which I don't know if any of you know anything about that, but part of what happened to the women who were part of that was a brand that was like, I mean, that was kind of like the ultimate giving themselves over to this cult group, which it was just, anyway, I just was thinking about that because I haven't heard of branding for years and years. And then it kind of popped up into my psyche again when I was watching that. It's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, and Industrial Girl saying, "Yeah, knives hurt." I'd only let 3 bands do that, and they're already tattooed on me. Okay. Yeah, it was kind of a weird decision for me initially, but then the second one was an easy decision since I already had it done once. So, But yeah, I don't know. To me, what it represents more than anything is that Alex and that's the Cancer Slug founder. He does everything as genuine and as real as possible. He could put out a country album, he could put out a punk album, he could put out anything, and you just know it's 100% authentic from that guy. And I don't think you could pay him enough money to sell out. I don't think he could do it. It's not in his DNA to do it. And I hope that he doesn't prove me wrong somewhere down the road. But I don't think he will. And he's that genuine. And I've met him, 4 times I think now over the years. But yeah, initially I was like, do I really want to get this done? Am I that hardcore? And isn't it going to fucking hurt? And that kind of thing. And then I started thinking about, no, I'm actually going to jump into the deep end on this one, and I've done it twice. So, and someone
so literally, like, how much did it hurt? Like, I'm super curious. Like, it just seems horrendous.
Again, for me, the second one hurt more because the knife was sharp and it seemed to dig deeper into my flesh than the one that was dull. You would think it would be the other way around.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, I think, I don't know. I'd also say my threshold for pain's pretty high. So I don't know what to equate to. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst type of pain ever, this would probably be like an 8. So I don't think it's that bad. And I've been tattooed and that kind of stuff, so I kind of have a frame of reference. And once they go for it, then next thing you know, it's done. It doesn't really. It's just that initial jab into you, and then watching it tear through your skin and your flesh, it starts to hurt. But then you have the blood coming down, of course, and that.
God. Wow.
So, Anna, how many brands do you have?
Oh, well, this may come as a shock, but I have 0.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, apparently, I have commitment issues, so I have no tattoos and also no spouse.
I get it. I got my first tattoo when I was 46 years old because I feel like I always thought way back when, you'd see somebody and they would get a tattoo of a band on them, and like you'd see them 10 years later, and it's like, ooh, that didn't age well. Like, how are you feeling about that choice? But and just personally, it just seemed like I was kind of like you, or it just seemed like too much to do for something kind of random like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, at this stage in my life, I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what I like. And it's like there's never going to be a regret of something I feel like that I would choose to do now, because I have a better understanding of who I am, and I got over that particular thing just because of my age, I think.
Totally. Yeah, I think there just hasn't been anything that I've like been so sure about that I needed it like tattooed on my body. And
Totally.
like, obviously I have my passions like music and horses, but it seems like any tattoo I can think of pertaining to those things. Oh, and also cats. Would be like a really cheesy tattoo. And so I'm like, I don't want that. So
Totally.
I just have total blank slate.
You know, I was always liked them. I just had never had one for myself. It was just weird. And I always had this feeling. It's like, there's going to be a day where I see that thing and it clicks, you know, like, and that's exactly, I was working with my, the artist who did the logo for the Joy Thieves. And she literally, she sent me a file and I opened it up on my computer and was like, that's it. Not only is that the logo, that's my first tattoo. I got it.
Cool.
And it worked. It just took me a long time to get there, but it was fun.
And I feel like the first one, everybody always puts so much stock into like their very first tattoo having so much meaning.
Right.
And then eventually it comes to a point where you're just like, I don't know, I just like this. The first one, I took years to, you can get tattooed at 18. I didn't get my first tattoo, or I shouldn't say that. I didn't start getting tattooed because it was all a pretty quick process. I was probably 21 when I got my first tattoo. And so it was like, I kind of had like thought about it for a while. I wasn't sure that I wanted to do it. And it's one of those things like, until you just like go and make the appointment, you just like won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and it always seems so serious. And then like, I don't know, it's one of those things when you're walking down the street, people, they don't know what it means a lot of the time or what it is, or, they just kind of see, oh, there's tattoos on that person walking by, so.
Right.
Yeah, I remember. I'm kind of like Dan. I didn't get my first tattoo till I was in my 30s, and I never had a problem with other people getting them. But for myself, it's like I just didn't know what I would ever want to permanently stick on my body. And then I saw I think it was actually a guitar player had something similar with their forearm where it was like the skin was ripped off. You could see the bone structure and all that. So, oh, that's really cool. But I think he went biomechanical, so he had more of the Terminator kind of thing going on. And that's when I said, so what do I want to have done? Well, I'm a guitar player, so let's kind of get something with a guitar chord. And the first one that I learned with was actually green instead of black and all those kind of things. So just like what you said, Leah, I put so much thought into it, and it became like this whole event. And I still remember the first session that I had scheduled. I was like, just kind of prepping myself for this and mentally getting ready. And then I drove to the shop, and then he had double booked me. So he was already working.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he saw me walking up the stairs, and he's looking at me like, did we have an appointment today? And I'm like, yeah, it's at this time. And he's like, oh, I'm already working on somebody. And I'm like, so I was all deflated and a little pissed and all that kind of thing. And so I left, and then I think I came back maybe like a week later or something to actually get the whole forearm started. But yeah, it was like a big deal. And then the ones after that, it became like, if I could afford them, I'd probably get more. But, they're
right.
very pricey to get the, good artists to work on you. So all of mine are fairly old at this point.
Well, that's something you don't want to skimp on either. You want a great artist. I mean, you can't. I guess you could, and some people don't really care that much. But for me personally, it has to be awesome, or I would never consider it.
I'm in the same boat because my artist was a fine art major in New York, and so I wanted somebody that could actually pull this thing off correctly, And I totally understand. Some people want a little bit of everything, which is fine, but that was, for me personally, it wasn't what I was looking for. I said, I need somebody that has an art background that can do what I want.
Well, especially for the ones that you got. I mean, that's tough. That's tough work.
Yeah, it took 10 hours to do the forearm.
Wow, 10 hours.
That's a long session, man.
Yeah. And I'm saying, and that makes sense in Industrial Girl if you got some for family members that had passed away. Memorial tattoos, I totally understand getting those because that's not going to change. It's not like if it's your husband or wife or something that may or may not last, but that will always be a part of you, obviously. And if you have children, that makes sense too, or a pet. All of those kind of things make sense to me. But and those three bands have literally saved my life with their music. Okay, yeah. So yeah, you clearly have some tattoos on you that mean a heck of a lot to you. So I get it.
I'm all for just getting whatever you want, and if it's something that means something to you, cool. If it's a slice of pizza because you think it's funny and you like it, just do it. You know what I mean? Like, if it brings you joy, it brings you joy. I'm all about it. I think it's so funny because it is a permanent thing, and it not that it shouldn't be taken seriously. You should go to an artist that is gonna obviously take the precautions, do everything in a very sanitary way and in a very professional way and in a way where, you're going to be happy with the outcome. But for the most part, I feel like, a lot of people take it super seriously, and then there are others that don't. And I think, as long as you like what you've got, that's all that really matters.
Well, and I think Mark and I are probably from the same age bracket too, but I mean, we've actually seen it from when I was, I mean, relatively speaking to Anna, yeah. I remember back in the day when I was growing up, it was, wow, there's the dog.
Yep.
It was really, now, I mean, when you're walking down the street and 2 out of every 3 people that are passing by have some sort of ink on them, you know what I mean? Like, it's very, very, very common.
Right.
But when I was a kid, it was not common. I mean, it was really, really uncommon. And it's just funny to have watched that, as I've come up, just how that's changed over the years. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, Dan, you're right. I remember I was on the vacation with my family. I don't know how old I was, but we were over on the ocean here in Washington. And I think it was the waitress, but I remember it was a gal, and she had a tattoo on her upper arm, kind of looked like a biker kind of lady. And I was kind of scared of that woman because it was such a weird thing to see.
Right.
Oh, you're one of those people I've seen in the movies or something like that. And yeah, now it's it's so commonplace. I mean, it's ridiculous. But we had one. Okay. Yeah. So I'm with what Leah was saying. If you get one and you're happy with it, brings you some level of joy, then more power to you because it's on your body. So.
I'm curious here. I'm watching these comments come up from Industrial Girl 25, and I'm not exactly sure who that is, but she's mentioned these 3 bands over and over and over, and I'm dying to know who are the bands. So if you're still on here, let me know. If you want to, you don't have to, but I'm just curious who the 3 bands are that you have tattooed on you.
Yeah, so Industrial Girl down in East LA. If you want to let Dan and the rest of us know, yeah, that is true. Who do you have tattooed on you in terms of those 3 bands that mean so much to you? And while we wait for your answer to come through the chat, and Leah yawns because it's late over there for you.
I've been up since 7:30 this morning, but that's okay. I'm fully here. It's more so my allergies are starting to kick in right in here. So if I start sounding all nasally, I apologize.
Oh, we got an answer. All right, it's Garbage, 9 Inch Nails, and Combi Christ. Gotcha.
Okay.
I saw Garbage 2 years ago here in Chicago. Ridiculously awesome show. They were so good. I love 9 Inch Nails too, but I'm just thinking because I just happened to see him a couple years ago. The band was just amazing. So great.
Wow. And for me, I've only seen Combi Christ. I've not seen Garbage or 9 Inch Nails. I remember putting in for Garbage, but I didn't get approved to shoot their show.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. They're here at the Paramount Theater, which holds 3,400 people here in Seattle. And I'm not big enough to get approved for them. But
I mean, Shirley Manson is a force of nature. She's the best. She's awesome.
I have a friend who is obsessed with Garbage, and when she finally got to meet Shirley, she was just like, "Oh."
One of the people in my in the Joy Thieves, the singer named Chris Connolly, and he's literally good friend. He's Scottish, and he's friends with her, not from the music world even, but from back in the day. They were longtime friends. It's amazing.
Oh wow! And you don't mess with her. Okay. Well, thanks for sharing, Industrial Girl. I appreciate you letting us know which bands were tattooed on you, and that means so much to you. Wow.
Mark, by the way, I got to show you. I got the reason that we met in the first place was because of Ayatoya.
Oh yeah, you got her shirt on.
And she just released her album yesterday, her new EP, and it came with one of the things came with the T-shirt and everything. So I grabbed it, but I had to be representing Ayatoya because she's the one reason that we met each other. So
awesome. Yeah, I'm expecting. I ordered her CD with the six panel art stuff, and I think I got an email that's in the mail or what have you. And
yeah, it's awesome.
She's such a sweetheart. One of the nicest people I've ever met, and funny and talented and artistic, and a really good Samaritan with the causes. I know with the sale of her her EP that's 15% goes towards suicide prevention,
and always has. Her entire catalog has been like that. So
yeah, I'm totally a fan and supporter of what she does. And you're right, because she mentioned me to you in terms of who she had done interviews with. That's how we connected. So
exactly, yeah.
There's that old Kevin Bacon thing at work or whatever.
Right. So thanks, Anya.
Yeah, and it's been like what, 5 weeks since I've done one. I forgot to ask, what are people drinking? Are people drinking?
I'm out. I just finished. Well, I shouldn't say just. I finished my wine actually kind of quickly, and I can't remember if the bottle is up here or if it's in the basement. I'm like, I might just ask Nick to bring it up for me, so I don't have to get up and go get it.
I mean, what else are spouses for, right?
I was gonna say, yeah. It's the least you can do, really.
I'm gonna shoot him a text and be like, "Can you bring me wine?" He like snuck behind me to let the dog out at one point. I texted him. I was like, "Can you let the dog outside? Can you bring me wine?" Let's see if he comes through.
Is it the red? Is it the red blend that you like?
I do. I like red blends. Bourbon barrel red blends are, I think, my favorite. They have a little bit more of like a kick to them, but I'm not super picky. Pretty much anything that's not like overly dry, I'll pretty much drink.
Okay.
Yay!
It worked.
He's coming to give me a refill. Thanks. I just realized it was in the basement, and I was like, I can't go down there.
What a hero.
He is truly
MVP.
I'm working on a Fremont Lush IPA.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
That's some interesting packaging.
Yeah. I actually got this beer specifically because the only place I would ever drink it in like regular times was at the Sunset, which is one of the like main like mid-level venues in Seattle.
Oh.
And I would always drink it there, and for some reason I was just like missing that specific
nostalgia.
beer. Yeah.
You know, that's been on my mind tonight because this is exactly a year anniversary from when everything shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, we played kind of our last gig on the 13th of March when we realized everything was really actually going to shut down. So having it be the year anniversary of that has felt really weird today.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Our last big show was like it was Leap Day. It was the 29th of February last year. So we like just passed our 1 year anniversary. We did a couple of the live stream show type things, but it just like was not, they're not fulfilling. They're kind of depressing, actually, I found personally.
I totally agree with you. It was tough, and we talked about doing it, and we actually kind of worked towards that a little bit. And a lot of bands that I know did them, but for me, funny. Not having the live energy there, not being able to interact with the crowd, it was just completely not the same.
Yeah.
And even as a music fan, and I'm a huge music fan, watching them isn't my favorite thing to do.
Right.
It's really hard. I feel like it's really, really hard to be in music, around music, all that stuff right now. It's like, you know, I see even like photos or videos from years ago of just like giant crowds of people, and I'm like kind of uncomfortable looking at it. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And I'm hoping obviously in the next like 6 months to a year of people slowly getting vaccinated and everything starting to kind of go back to normal, that those things won't be such a like culture shock, because it's like over the last year we've been so careful that like going back to it, I feel like is going to be weird at first.
I even find like watching TV or movies now, like if it's like a public setting and there's people like being
like, wear their masks.
Together, like no, be careful.
Why are you touching?
Like a week ago, I had a thing where my wife and I were watching, and I can't remember what it was anymore. We're just watching some sort of show, and in it, like a group of people had like a group hug, and at first it was like, oh my gosh, they're doing it. Yeah, I was like, I felt that, and then I felt this surge of just like jealousy.
Yeah.
You know, it felt bad to watch it, and that it was such an odd feeling. because I just felt jealous of them. You know, like it's just been so long. I mean, it's just an odd experience. If you would have told me any bit of how this was going to be, 12 months ago, I probably wouldn't have believed you. You know?
Yeah, no way.
Right.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Another photographer friend of mine he was like going back through old photos from the before times, and he sent me just a picture of like this one specific show that was like very important to me. It was actually like a benefit show for myself for like a medical thing that happened. And it's just this picture of like the whole crowd that was there, and just like seeing all of those faces in the same room and so close together. And I got it like in the middle of a work day. So I'm like in the bathroom at the barn, just like very near to tears. Like I was not prepared to like feel this way right now.
Yeah.
I'm feeling so many emotions about all of these people. And then I ended up getting home and writing a song about it. So that was a plus side to having a big feeling.
Yeah.
Is that songs come out of big feelings.
That's true. That is very true.
Anna, what I don't know, I'm not familiar with your band. What's your band?
It is called Datenite. I also have a solo project that I don't really talk about because it's just I have like 5 demos on a Bandcamp, and then I play live shows at like wineries and stuff. But my band is called Datenite, and it's sort of indie pop, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're really good. I've seen them live.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, to me, it's got a little bit of an 80s vibe to it at times too, almost like 80s new wave.
I love that.
Yeah, we love our synth sounds. We love
Nice.
our 808s. Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, we
awesome.
have one EP that came out. That actually was released around the time of the show that you came to, Mark. And it's I think just 5 songs. And we've had a very tumultuous band history as those things go. But the goal has always been to be like a dual female lead, so like 2 female vocalists with like lots of harmonies and stuff.
Interesting.
And so it started with me and a gal named Caroline, and then Caroline quit, and then we found another gal named Devin, and we had like an EP basically almost finished right before quarantine. And we just didn't really have the desire to release stuff out into like the ether of the internet where there's just too much happening and nobody's paying attention to anything.
Sure.
And so we sort of put that on hold, and then Devin moved away.
Wow.
And so now we're just trying to figure out what's next. But there's an EP that was done in 2018-ish on the internet, and that's Datenite, all one word. There's a couple other date nights, and they sound very different from us.
Don't you love that?
There's a Bandcamp page or something?
We have it's all on Spotify and all the regular, all the
Cool.
places you can find music. We have actual CDs also.
Yeah, and I'm seeing Rob talking about there's lots of 1-year anniversaries. Some people out of necessity are embracing the streams, like the Soap Girls and Phoebe Bridgers. And so I know Rob through the Soap Girls, which is this awesome band from South Africa. If you haven't heard of them, check them out. A free plug. I absolutely adore them. And they're completely DIY. Everything they do is from them. So if you're into independent punk rock, revolt rock type of stuff, that's what they do. And I see Not Stalkers talking about, replying to the Jameson that I think Industrial Girl was talking about.
I'm sorry, I should be clear too. I wasn't shit talking people who are doing streams, live streams. Not even close. I know that people like doing them. I know that a lot of people like watching them. Just for me as a music fan, it's just not my personal favorite thing.
I'm right there with you.
I totally get why people are doing it.
I have a lot of respect for people who are doing them regularly, because it's really emotionally draining to not have the reciprocal reaction from the crowd that you're used to in a live setting. So anyone who's actively doing live streams is killing it and way stronger than I am, because I genuinely was just I can't handle the emotional stress of playing a song to an empty room and having 0 feedback.
Well, and I really appreciate people who are. I mean, there's so many ways it can good. You know what I mean? But there's so many ways that it can look just kind of homemade-ish and weird.
Mm-hmm.
So the people who really put in, I think, production quality and stuff to that, I really appreciate that. I think it's very cool.
Yeah, I agree. And Dan, I don't think it came across that way of you shit talking them. I think they're
just, okay. Cool. I read the comment and it almost sounded like somebody thought that, and that was not my intention.
Yeah, no, not at all. For Rob being a Soap Girls fan like myself, so this band has been doing like 3 theme shows a week, plus they do an acoustic show, plus they do a chat show. So basically 5 things a week, and wow. It's been almost a year of them doing this without stopping.
Wow.
And so that's why it's been like really a saving grace for a lot of us. I see Industrial Girls talking about Alice, which is of course how I got involved with all this live stream stuff. Them doing their shows, and it's different things for different people, and it's weird for me having been on both sides of it. I've been a part of Alice's tour. I'm doing my own things, and then sometimes I'll review someone else's stream because a press release comes in and say, "Hey, Mark, do you want to review this thing that's 4 hours long?" And I'll sit there on my couch and watch this on TV, and it's kind of like, I get why they're doing it. I totally understand why they're doing it, but sometimes, especially for like certain types of music, I'm not feeling it at all. It just feels weird. I might as well just sit there and look at YouTube on my phone or something. Mm-hmm. And I don't sit there and want to get into a mosh pit. I don't want to do, my horns. I don't want to do anything. I just want to like turn this off and go to something else. So it is a weird feeling. And like Dan, you said earlier about like seeing somebody on TV, like doing a group hug and initially like, oh my gosh, don't do that. And then you're jealous of it. I see the same type of thing. It's like, because I review movies every freaking week and I see stuff happening in these films. I'm like, so when can I be a part of that? And I live by myself, so I don't have a husband or a wife or a partner that I can at least be around. It's just like me and my guinea pig. So it gets kind of weird sometimes. And I don't mean it in a bad way, but I get my human interaction from being out, from going to my survival job, from those kind of things. But there was a period of time when I didn't have that, and it was like a little bit like The Shining. You start getting inside your head a bit, and you're like, okay, how long is this going to go on, and when is this going to change? And so for me, the live stream thing that Alice invited me to actually became this weird but really cool lifeline to kind of connect with people. And it was, I don't know where I would be if I had not had that opportunity, because we would not be here right now doing this. I know that much. Have they not invited me on their virtual tour.
Mark, you've mentioned the band Alice several times, and I'm not familiar. Who is that? They're friends of yours, or are you? What is that?
So what I can tell you is that it's funny because when I got invited to do the tour, and something like Night Stalker and Industrial Girl and Captain Blackwood and Tony, they're all Alice fans, and that's how I got to know them. And so they probably thought I was like this, I knew them from way back when, back in 2009 or whatever. I met them twice in 2017 within the space of 3 days because they're playing 2 shows here in Seattle and Everett, Washington. And I interviewed them. I love them. They're these amazing, it's a 5-piece amazing band. It's like electro pop, electro rock type stuff. But here's the interesting thing about them. It's really more about the Alice collective. So they've got Alice, but then the 3 guys in the band have bash rock, which is like a punk rock kind of a thing. And then they stem back to like 3 or 4 of the members have been in an industrial band called, oh my God, Mankind is Obsolete. And then the 4th project is a swing gypsy jazz band called Alice Underground that has the same members in it. So there's this huge thread of these amazing musicians doing very different music under 4 projects under the Alice Collective.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I absolutely highly recommend checking out anything that they do. And I was doing a written interview just like I did with Leah, with the lead singer of Alice back in May, or actually end of April into May. And their singer, whose name is Tosh, she was like, Mark, I've been having this idea because we're going to be doing a virtual tour, and we thought we'd like it to be like a variety show. How do you feel about opening up our tour? And I couldn't get my head wrapped around it at all. It was kind of like, what am I going to be doing? You mean you want me to play music? What am I doing? And she was like, no, we're going to have you interview guests for 30 minutes, any guests that you'd like, and we'll do it all virtually because we're down in LA and you're up in Seattle, and we're going to have other bands and DJs on the tour with us. And I'm kind of like, huh? And so initially in my wonderful thinking, I was thinking about saying no to them because I was not in the headspace to do that kind of thing. I wasn't in the best place, with the pandemic going on. I had lost my job, a bunch of other things had happened. And then luckily they said, why don't we do a FaceTime with the band, and we can kind of talk about what we're thinking. And as soon as I saw them, I went right back to 2017. I felt so good about seeing them and hearing them. Hey, Mark, how are things going? And that's when I decided that I should do this. I should jump right on and just I'm in good hands with them. I have no problem being affiliated with them. If anything, it's actually going to help me out because they're such amazing people and so super talented. And they did it. So like what you mentioned earlier, Dan, about different types of live streams, they have never done that kind of thing. So they transformed their drummer's house into a club. They had the light show, the fog, multi-cameras, everything. And that was within the talent of the band. So they figured out how to do all this, how to stream stuff. So there's some, growing pains, of course. And all of their brick and mortar tours that were booked, they tried to have those same people come on. So they had a DJ that could be in Colorado and then another opening band on the East Coast. They're still part of the night. So we did an actual virtual tour. Yeah. And then this bald Asian guy opened up the shows from Seattle. And that, industrial. Oh yeah, Metal Moo is a character that came up through the Alice tour, which is its own entity. It was a really good time, and it just spun me off into this direction. So for me, having this silver lining that I did, I can't thank them enough for just even thinking about having me do this. About interviewing different artistic guests, and they just trusted me. They didn't sit there and like nitpick it. Mark, it needs to be musicians, it needs to be industrial. They said, have at it, do what you want. So I reached out to local folks that I knew. I reached out to other people that interviewed maybe pre-pandemic, actors and Broadway folks, and just anyone who would say yes. And luckily, because of unfortunately people not being able to work in their industries, they were available on many of the times. So it's like, hey, Mark, I can do it any day you want, anytime you want, because I'm stuck at home just like you. And so there's a weird silver lining from that whole time. But I can also say with all the Black Lives Matter and all the social unrest that was going on, it was really tough for myself, for the band, and everyone involved with that tour around the end of May into June to keep doing these shows, because it was 24 shows in 25 days.
Oh.
The first leg, it was like a real bona fide tour. We did not take a break other than for Blackout Tuesday. And it was like, I remember looking at my clock, at 6 o'clock, we're going live at 7. I have to do my tech thing at 6:30, and I'm looking outside of my window. I'm kind of like, why the fuck am I even doing this? It just felt so inconsequential because of everything that was going on in the world. Mm. But at some point, it became a lifeline for the fans. It became entertainment. It became an escape for people. So we're like, that's our charge. We're going to kind of use that to keep pushing forward with this, because I know we wanted to stop at some point and just take a break like everybody else and just try to process what was going on. But we kept working at it and kept doing it. And then I thought I was going to be done after the first leg of the tour, which was June 15th, right before my birthday. And then I thanked them via message and thank you so much for the opportunity. If you're wanting to have me back to do any kind of future collaboration, and they're like, well, since you brought it up, Mark, we're going to be doing some interim shows starting at the end of the month. I'm like, oh, I wasn't trying to look for more work or anything. I was just trying to be nice. And then, so we did shows on Thursdays and Sundays through the month of July. And then the second leg happened in August. And then the third leg happened in October. And the writing was on the wall for me at that point. It's like, no live events are coming back in 2020. So when there's that break between August to October, what am I going to do? Well, I better figure something out. And that's where this thing came from. I said, let me try to buy into a streaming service, because I don't have the tech ability to figure out OBS and all the other kind of things. And I haven't stopped. So this is, I think I was telling Anna before we went live, this is live stream 140 since May 22nd.
Wow.
For me. And I'm just going to keep doing them until we can transition to live events and all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, Alice is AL1CE. That's their name, or ilikealice.com will get you to their main site. And they're beautiful people. That's probably one of the best things. Amazing musicians, but also beautiful people. I can't say enough good things about them.
You're talking about the things that were getting you through the time, and I'm curious about Leah and Anna. Like, how was your experience? How has your experience been for the past 12 months in regards to like creative things? Because I know a lot of creative types who just had a really rough year, who just were not able to create, or they weren't able to write songs, or they had other things on their brain. And I'm curious for you two, how has the last year been?
Right when the first like shutdown happened, I was like, awesome, I've got all this free time, which I never have.
Right.
I'm gonna like utilize it, write all these songs, get all these like projects done that I've been wanting to work on around the house, and like art, like visual art type projects and songwriting and all kinds of things. And with the songwriting, like very quickly I started to realize like, oh, like by the time that I'm allowed to play this in front of people again in like a non-live stream setting, I will probably be tired of this song. Because, you know, as musicians, we like write a song, we're really excited about it for a few weeks, and then it gets less and less exciting, and then maybe a while later you get a new burst of energy with it. But I just like had this really strong feeling that like by the time I'm able to play this live in like the setting that I envision it, it will be old news. And so then I like got really in my head about that, and I didn't write for a lot of the rest of last year, like the latter part of last year, and we like moved and there was just a lot of other things changing. But then just recently I've like started to feel the like creative juices flowing again. And so I'm trying to like really lean into that. And like anytime I feel like an inkling of like, oh, something's going to happen, here we go, I try to like run to my piano and make sure I like at least explore an idea.
That's good.
Yeah. What about you? Yeah.
So at the beginning of everything, it was kind of the same thing where I was like, oh my gosh, I have so much time, you know, to do creative things. And I did put out one song. And at this point, I literally like can't even remember like when I put it out, because it wasn't like, because of everything that's going on, I didn't like do what I normally would do, where I, you know, build up marketing and try to, you know, get people excited about a song coming out. I just was like, you know what, I'm just going to post it.
Here it is.
And I just, at this point, like was like, I just am creating to have an outlet sort of a thing. And I did meet with my band at one point over the summer, just because we had the time again. And we did get together to try to write a little bit. And I haven't had a whole lot of time outside of work, though, I feel like, to do a lot of musical things, just because with everything that's been going on, I feel like I've kind of gotten into this like this monotonous thing where it seems like every day kind of feels the same. Sorry, my dog's like slurping water in the background. But I feel like I've kind of gotten into this rut where I feel like every day at work, even though I'm doing different things, every day kind of starts to feel the same. And there's not a lot of like, I don't know, inspiration coming from that, because it's hard when you're doing the same things kind of day in, day out. And then even outside of work, I come home and then I'm like, okay, I can't really go anywhere. I can't really interact with anybody. Right. So there's not a whole lot of inspiration flowing, just because of the lack of a lot of things, I guess. You know, it's like I don't have a whole lot of interactions going on outside of, you know, my day to day. And so I feel like it's been a little bit of a dry spell for me personally, and for, you know, my personal projects and things like that. I feel like everything's kind of just been sort of put on hold, because at the moment I'm just kind of like in this mindset where I'm like, oh, okay, like I feel like I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off during the week. And then the weekend comes and then I'm like, I don't have any energy to do anything. Totally. Even though I feel like I'm accomplishing nothing. And then it's just a cycle, you know, and then you're like, that's okay, because it's only this many more days until weekend. And then weekend comes and it's just the same thing over and over again. So it's been a little bit of like a repetitive, I feel like I'm in like this Groundhog Day loop, because every day in 2020 felt the same to me a little bit. So yeah, I felt like I wasn't creating as much as I would have liked to, you know what I mean? And yeah, it's nice that now everything, we're seeing kind of a light at the end of the tunnel. And, you know, I'm trying to get in the mindset of like, okay, I need to make time to create and to be creative. So, you know, with everything starting to pick up a little bit, like the inspiration is, like you said, starting to kind of spark a little bit as well. You know, knowing, okay, in the near future, we might be back to somewhat of a normal feel, or at least like, you know, ability to be around more people in a musical setting. So yeah, I'm really hoping that it's gonna kind of pick up a little bit more in that aspect, just because yeah, it's felt like a whole lot of nothing over the last year.
Totally.
Well, I think just the lack of input, right? I mean, you're used to going places and you're used to interacting with people.
Yes.
It's a complete lack of input that I think it has been a problem for people who are creative, because reading other people and understanding situations and conversing with people, that's where so many people draw their inspiration from for their music, I think.
Definitely. Oh, kitty.
Oh, we got a cat in the house.
This is my little June bug.
Oh,
He's kind of a nuisance, but I love him. We love him.
Hawaiian eyes are killing me.
It's near their dinner time, and so he's reminding me not to forget to feed them.
Yeah, I can kind of slightly see the bottom of my bowl. You know, that's concerning.
I have an older kitty also. She's mad at me right now. But she was a little overweight for a while, so she has to have like specific feeding times. And so they get fed at 11 a.m. and at like 9 p.m. usually. And June, the one that just came to visit, he knows that it's like an hour before feeding time every day. And so he will yell just incessantly for an hour straight to just make sure that we don't forget to feed them, which we never have done.
Oh my gosh.
We've never forgotten to feed our cats.
They're always
he's so sure that we will forget.
They always think like they act like they've never eaten in their lives.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's like a scarfer. Like you feed him and it's gone in an instant.
Well, and Dan, I was going to ask you, I know you mentioned during our interview a week ago that this time was fairly productive for you, but did you have that kind of ebb and flow like everybody else was just talking about during the last year of feeling like not very inspired at times to get anything done? Because I totally understand that, because I felt that way myself at times.
Yeah. The majority of people that I know who do that sort of thing, creative work, had a really rough year for reasons that they were just talking about. Fortunately, I had kind of the opposite, and that's just luck, I guess. I have no idea why that is, but from the second all my gigs dried up and I just had nothing but time here in my studio, I decided I wasn't going to waste it, not a minute. So I started on a lot of different things, and for me, it kind of it was getting me through that time for sure. I mean, that for all the projects that I was working on were a reason to get up every day. They're a reason to walk into my office and just start working first thing in the morning. And it kind of was a lifeline for me. It helped me get through that time for sure. Now, granted, I'm doing just the musical part of it. I'm not writing lyrics. And I think if I would probably have had a really different experience because of the things we were talking about. You're not getting a lot of input, but on purely a musical standpoint, I felt I was feeling inspired, and that it helped for me.
That's great. Good. Yeah, for sure.
And there's no reason. I mean, I think I'm fortunate. So many people that I know kind of hit this thing, kind of like Anna was saying earlier, where it's like you have all the time in the world all of a sudden, right? And it seems like this amazing thing where, wow, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And meanwhile, you're trying to process everything that's going on in the world, and everybody just stalled. I mean, like and not to say that I didn't have bad days, because I absolutely did. But I was also trying to give myself as much space as I could to have ebbs and flows, to have bad days. And if things weren't happening and I wasn't feeling good, I have no problem with putting away the music stuff and doing something else for a day too. And just being self-aware, I think, was helpful, that, hey, we're not getting through this without having some bad days and weeks. We're just not. So being able to just think of it in that term, I think, was helping me. But yeah, it was literally all I was doing this past summer and fall. So it was my lifeline to the real world, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's great. And I think everyone reacted to this situation differently because we haven't been in it. And,
totally.
I'm seeing some of the comments from earlier. Thanks, Rob, for your comment about hearing about my story. Maybe you haven't heard that much because I never get to talk during the Soap Girls interviews. But And I'm also seeing Industrial Girls getting back into her writing with albums. And I know Tony had mentioned something about how this was a really great time for people to, connect and create a community that wasn't there before. And that's true. I didn't know any of these folks prior to this. I didn't know anybody here other than Anna, prior to this. So there's been some just incredibly cool, but just interesting silver linings of how they came about. And it's just like the oddest ways at times, or like, Dan said that if Anya had not said something about me to him, we wouldn't have connected. And so that's been, pretty cool that way. And I know I was thinking the same thing too, that I was really, really sick during the month of March, basically for the entire month. Whether I had COVID or not, I don't know, because they wouldn't test me at that time. But I'm thinking, what am I going to do with Eclectic Arts? Because I'd worked so hard to kind of get it to where it's at, because it's completely freelance. And then it's just like everything just stopped. Every freaking thing in my inbox was like canceled, and nothing's going on. And so here I am not feeling well, and then trying to figure out, what am I going to do with this thing? And that's when I'm like, let's go back to what I used to do back in 2011. Let's go old school and let's do some email interviews, the old school fanzine kind of things. And thank goodness the Soap Girls and Alice and a handful of other people, Christine Mitchell is a wonderful photographer locally, said yes, they don't mind doing these kind of things. And then from that, again, gave me the Alice tour and gave me all this other kind of stuff. But had that not happened, I don't know. So I completely understand for folks. Like, it's like trying to tell somebody how long you should grieve for somebody, or it's different for every single person. And this whole time was exactly the same type of thing. People were just doing the best they could with what they got.
I just saw this question here from Captain Blackwood. It's asking, have you tried something completely new during the pandemic? And this was kind of the focus of our interview from a few days ago, so I won't go too deep into it. But the band that just released the EP yesterday, The Burying Kind, was formed, and we've done all that work within the time of the pandemic. I mean, we kind of talked about, me and the other guy who were involved talked about maybe doing something together. But the second that it happened, which was like a year ago today, within a couple of days, he shot me an email. I was like, we've been talking about work, and maybe now is the time. And we immediately started this new band. So that the entire career, I guess, of The Burying Kind has been involved in the times of the pandemic. And we've never actually been in the same room together, which I think is completely crazy. Yeah. And he lives not far from me at all, but it just hasn't been in the cards to be in the studio or anything. But we've become very, very good friends. We work and talk together every single day. And we wrote all this amazing music together, and we've literally never looked each other in the eyes. It's crazy.
Wow.
So I think that was part of my inspiration too. Like this is what was getting me through that time. It was like, it was something really new. It was something super exciting to do with that time. And so I think that's why we just went like completely gung ho with it.
How did you get to know your bandmate in the first place?
I had done, I mentioned before, I do this thing called the Joy Thieves is my other project. And a mutual friend of mine and his cat was very, very ill. And he's kind of really involved with the music scene, with the goth music scene. And he decided to put together a compilation of music and just kind of put out feelers. Hey, is there any bands or any musicians that would help me? Who was willing to donate a track? And I can put this thing out and raise money for surgery for his cat. Mm. And he's a friend of mine. And so obviously I jumped in the ring, and this other guy had too. And so what we decided to do ultimately was I did a remix of one of his songs. And from me just working on his music and remixing it my own way, it really laid the groundwork for the new band. So that's kind of how we met each other.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I actually love thinking that this band wouldn't exist if it weren't for this guy's cat.
Wow.
I mean, quite literally, if this cat didn't exist, there would be no band. So
that's funny to think about.
Life is life is super random. I love that.
Yeah.
So how's the cat doing now? Do we know?
Very, very well. It only has 3 legs now. Yeah, it had to have a surgery. But it survived, and it's doing very, very well.
That's great to hear that it's thriving.
Yeah, there's a good end to the story. Yeah, like I told Mark last week, because he asked the same thing. It's like, oh, I'm so glad, because if the story had a bad ending, it'd be a whole different thing. But yeah,
right.
Great. Yep.
Then it would definitely be another kind of silver lining thing where, like, yeah, maybe it didn't have the best outcome, but you got something good out of it. But it's good because it sounds like everything around the entire situation had really good, an outcome that was really positive.
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of those things that I just, and I'm all about positive energy and seeing how that plays out in the world. And it's one of those things, like, by donating my time, by donating a song and some work to this thing, which I wanted to do anyway, but in return, and I wasn't even looking for anything, I received this amazing gift of having a new band, a new really, really good friend of mine, and all this music that I wouldn't have had otherwise. It's interesting how that works out.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And Anna or Leah, anything that you had new that happened during the pandemic time frame? Anything you picked up, new hobby, new something?
I've been trying a couple of new things. I feel like just because, like I said, I've had a little bit of a lack of inspiration in the musical department, I've done more like streaming, like playing video games, things like that. And started a YouTube channel just for fun with my husband called YTF Not. And we haven't had a whole lot of chances to, like, we've only really put out like 2 videos so far, but we're actually trying to remodel our basement right now to kind of form it into a creative space so we can do more of that kind of stuff, because it's something that over the last year or so we've kind of picked up on, and we were like, wow, I didn't think that I'd like this so much, but here we are. What sort of video content are you making? Our very first video on YouTube is actually us drunk carving pumpkins. So,
that's fun.
So we were playing a drinking game. We were watching Hocus Pocus, and we followed like a drinking game we found online, and we were trying to carve pumpkins at the same time. And it ended up being, it was like a 14-minute video. We're like, nobody's gonna watch this. And then so many people were like, oh my God, it was so funny, blah, blah, blah. And we were like, we've got to do more of this. And obviously, I don't really want drunk to be the theme. I'm not much of a drinker, to be completely honest with you. We tried to do one more, and I ended up having to stop mid-video because I just couldn't finish it. But we did one video where the dogs opened like a bark box. They like opened it or whatever. So we kind of dished out everything that was in it. So it's gonna kind of, I think, just be like random little things we just do and, feel like documenting. But as far as streaming goes, I'm very new to that entire thing. So that's something that I've only done, I think, twice now through Twitch. And I still have no idea how it works. And people are constantly like, oh, like, what do you use? I'm like, I don't know it. I literally am so clueless about it so far. So those are very, very fresh things in our life for sure. But things that nonetheless, we did become more interested in, for sure. I've just recently become not aware, but I've recently just joined Twitch and started actually watching things. It's kind of confusing, right? Like it's not the most user-friendly like platform. It's not something you just jump right into and understand what's happening. Yeah. I guess the whole thing started off with finding people like Mark who were actually streaming on there. I was like, I should just join and start following them and seeing what's going on. Exactly, yeah. And it's been good for that. But as in general, I kind of don't understand what's happening. It's really weird because I'll have people that literally they'll go, I followed you. You didn't follow me back. And I'm like, how do I see? How do I see this? And this is one of those things where I feel like it's almost one of those things where I'm like, am I getting old? Is there a generational gap of me not understanding this new generation's technology? Or is it just that this site has, and it's such a popular thing. So many people, oh, that wasn't me that time.
That was me this time. I preheated the oven because I realized that I'm getting really hungry.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, it was just, it was one of those things that I got on and I was like, I have no idea how this works. So I'm learning as I go, for sure. Yeah. But, it's fun to kind of pick up on new things. I think as a concept, it's very cool, but I'm kind of with you. It's just, there's a learning curve for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I still have not done the Twitch thing. However, I'll segue this into my new thing, which I'm glad that I went last because I would have forgotten this. But I started to dip my toes into the video game world. Never, ever played any kind of video game for more than about 10 minutes. And anytime I have in the past, I get like really overwhelmed and I'm just like, I don't know. I have to stop. But my partner introduced me to Skyrim, which I have taken a liking to.
I love Skyrim.
I'm really bad at it though. Like if there's like a fight scene that has to happen, it's just like me flailing, like nowhere near where the thing that I was supposed to be
You
hitting
get better
like,
as your character starts to like build higher in levels and stuff. Like you'll get so much better.
You would think that I would get better as my character gets better. I still suck a lot, but like my little person has a lot of levels up or whatever.
Skills. Yeah.
But I really have. My partner and I joke all the time about how I should like start a Twitch stream of me just like being stoned and poorly playing Skyrim, because I always have this little like running commentary the whole time.
Yeah.
That like Art right now is the only one that gets to hear it, but I'm like, I feel like there's probably an audience for this somewhere.
Yeah,
like,
no, they're
being a total idiot.
I literally like, I think my bio in Twitch is like, watch me fumble, because like quite literally some of these games, I feel like I'm just like, I'm trying to figure them out. Because a lot of the time I'm like, I'll just play this for the first time on here because, you know, people are going to watch me kind of experience it for the first time and they can tell me, you know, if they've played it before, if it's something that they know, like, oh, you have to go over here and do this. I am so lost half of the time that I'm right there with you. I played Skyrim, I feel like years and years ago. And then I was like, oh, there's a whole nother like branch of Skyrim. There's like all these different, like, I don't know what you would even call them. Like there's all these different like Elder Scrolls. Like there's Elder Scrolls Online. I saw somebody commenting about Elder Scrolls Online. I have it. I own it. I've never touched it because it's so different from playing Skyrim that I'm literally like, I'm like, I don't even know what to do. I have no idea how it works.
I think I haven't watched people game on there, and that's not what I use it for. But I mean, like something like that, what you're saying would have way more interest to me than watching someone do it well. You know what I mean? Like there's something really human about just getting on there and trying and failing and stuff like that. I think that's interesting.
Yeah. I think that's more fun to watch somebody that's like, you know, I'd rather watch somebody that's kind of like falling down and they're just like, oh crap, I don't know what I'm doing, versus somebody that's just so, you know, they're not challenged at it at all. They're just like flying through it.
Those people are helpful though. Like I'll get stuck sometimes and then I'll just do a little Google search and there's always someone who has a video where they're just like, and then you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this, as though it's like 2 + 2. And I'm like, cool, thank you, because that would have taken me 6 years.
Yeah, my most recent stream, so I did one last Sunday, and I think I'm gonna try to like make it a weekly thing once I'm able to like get a little bit more with it. But last week I downloaded a Nintendo 64 simulator, so I decided I was gonna play Banjo-Kazooie, and I had so much fun because I was like, I remember this, and it's something that's like, it's so old that it's nostalgic, and people will look at it and they're kind of like, oh, you have like, I remember this about this game, and you know, this and this. And I'm one of those people that like the Legend of Zelda games completely just went over. Like I missed them completely. And I have so many people that are like, you've got to play those because people would be so excited to watch you just experience it for the first time. And I'm like, I don't know if that's a good thing, because I guarantee I will be the person that's like lost.
I think that people would definitely enjoy that. I can see that definitely being a thing.
I think that's like one of those like cult following games. Like people love it so much. I think literally, like if I walked in, I think that's what Nick is doing right now. I think he's playing the Ocarina of Time or something like that. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like when we found it, I was like, oh my gosh, these are the kind of games I used to love playing. You know, and I feel like those are the kinds of games people enjoy watching because it's like, it's nostalgic, you know what I mean? And I don't know. I think there's something to be said about like, you know, the niche markets that you go into. Because I saw, obviously, like I said, somebody's mentioned Elder Scrolls Online, first-person shooters. There's a different kind of viewer for everybody. So I feel like if you're not like maybe great at Skyrim, you could play like The Sims. I tried to do it one time, it didn't work, but you could play anything on there, and you could even do music on there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like what we were talking about earlier with TikTok. There's just a million different avenues you can go down with it.
Totally.
That's what's nice about it. It's just, like I said, not super user friendly, at least not for me.
Good to know. I will probably.
I haven't been able to figure it out completely, but I think, like somebody said, the more you use it, kind of the easier it gets. So. But
you're talking about people, an audience who might watch you fumble through that. And I've started about a year ago. I became kind of mildly addicted to reaction videos on YouTube.
Oh my gosh.
Of people experiencing like old school rap and stuff from the 90s, and it's teenagers now who do that sort of thing. And at first I didn't understand it really, and after I watched a few, and I was like really feeling it, because it puts you in that space of remembering where you were the first time that you heard a certain thing way back in the day.
Yeah.
And it taps into the kind of new thing, but it also taps into the nostalgia thing of like, oh God, I remember exactly where I was when I heard that the first time. I think they're really amazing.
I've never thought of it that way, but because I had never really understood the point of reaction videos, but now that you explain it that way, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, well, it's a generation of people experiencing things for the first time that we experienced like at a whole different point in our lives. And that was, again, like the client that I had today that was like 18 years old. She referred to something as like a mall goth, and I was like, I was one of those people. I was like, oh my gosh, I worked at Hot Topic, and I was a mall goth. And I was like, we use that word like ironically, and now it's actually like, it's like a fashion, like, I don't even know what you would call it, like category.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sorry, what? She's like, yeah, I went thrifting and I was trying to find trip pants. I was like, trip pants? I was like, oh my God, I had trip pants.
It's one of those things. Like, I'm kind of like you, Anna. I mean, at first I just didn't understand it. I just was not understanding why people would ever want to do that, like unboxing videos and stuff like that. They mean,
oh my gosh,
I have no understanding why people would want to do that. But when I came across this little like subgenre of people enjoying music stuff, whether it was like classic rock or old school rap or metal stuff, and people hearing that for the first time, and it all of a sudden was like, okay, I got it. I understand why they're doing it now.
Oh my gosh,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I've seen, and I think my favorite ones are the ones where they react to like things like classic rock, the Beatles, and like things like that, because those are the kinds of things that they're like, oh, okay, like this kind of reminds me of this, and I'm like, no, that's based off of this. Like it's so wild. It's so wild.
It's also just, I mean, because we're so removed. I don't want to say I'm so removed from just like what a normal like 15 or 16-year-old kid would be thinking. To see them experience something like that and see and at times watch their minds just literally explode. Like, that's that thing I've been hearing about. That's the Beatles, or that's the, whatever.
Yes.
It's just really interesting to me and compelling, because I mean, part of me still feels like I'm 15 and I still have that same excitement about music. And I love seeing that when other people experience it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just going to say what Dan had brought up with the reaction videos. I totally get the same thing when it's somebody who's 18 listening to something from the 80s or what have you. But at the same time, on the media side of things, I do know, and I can let people know this, that some of those folks that have a really large following from reaction videos on their channel, they're now starting to hit up publicists and wanting money to react to their clients.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
so
wow.
There's the other side of it now. Yeah, that they have such a following, they're monetized their YouTube channel. They've got thousands of followers and subscribers and all that. But they'll say, hey, pay me $5,000 and I'll react to your client's newest song.
Oh, that's so wild.
So that's a thing now too, in terms of the other end of it. Instead of it being the solid 60s, 70s, 80s stuff, or even 90s, now they're looking at modern stuff and saying, yeah, because it puts that song in front of thousands of people, apparently.
Right.
So,
yeah, you can see the appeal of that as a strategy.
Yep, because I was the same way. I was like, why do people like this kind of stuff? And then I saw some people reacting to songs that I love for the first time. I was like, this is why they like this kind of stuff, because now I'm starting to like it. And sometimes those people have great personalities and the reactions are very genuine. And it totally worked for me. So I still watch some of those guys to see like, oh, there's a song that I love. Let's see how he reacts to that part at 3 minutes and 22 seconds when that thing happens, and they're like have that face on them or whatever it is. And it's like, oh, it's entertaining. So I see both sides of it for sure.
I also like it when they're listening to music that maybe they typically wouldn't listen to. You know what I mean? Like there's just a thing about that too, where they discover a whole genre of music that maybe they were not familiar with or something like that. And you can see the lights turn on. I just love that. I think it's amazing.
I think that there's something really exciting about like watching somebody experience something that you love for the first time in general. Like, I think the first time Nick watched Harry Potter, I was like sitting there, like I wasn't watching the screen, I was watching him because I wanted to like, see how he reacts. So I totally understand there is like a whole like fascination with like watching people, like see those things and like experience those things for the very first time ever. It's just like, you're like, how have you never heard of this before? You know, but I guess, you know, it's a generational thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be like if somebody asked me about do I know the latest rap songs? I have no clue. I don't listen to that stuff. I have no clue. So I guess I could react to that if I needed to.
You know, I'm curious, Mark, when you were talking about, you know, people are being paid now to listen to certain music and stuff like that. I wonder if it's still going to have the same magic to it or not. You know, I mean, I think it changes things when you're being paid to listen to a song. I really do.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's disingenuous. I think it's something where if you're getting paid, I mean, I understand they're doing a business and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's like they're going to almost like force it, their reaction to whatever this is, just to make sure they have some sort of reaction that will get the likes, will get the views, will get everything that they want.
You gotta wonder if what the reaction is dependent on how much money they got or something, right? I mean, it just seems disingenuous to me. But
no, I'm totally with you. That's why I'm kind of like. When a couple publicists told me about that, I was like, man, that's a bunch of bullshit.
I've got to think there's got to be a few channels where it's just genuine. You know what I mean? Like, I think there are probably a couple where like I feel like outlets like maybe BuzzFeed, they have so many other things that they get money for that those are the kinds of things that I feel like have to be genuine. You know, they're not like paying the kids to say, hey, you know what, we're promoting this song right now. Let's get this kid to react to it. I feel like it's almost like there's probably those monetized ones, but there are, I think, hopefully some genuine real reactions. And then there's also, I don't know if you guys have even seen these, reactions to reaction videos. Have you seen those?
It'll be like stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, no, I'm not even kidding. It'll literally be like, I don't know if this one actually exists, but just as an example, it would be like Paul McCartney reacting to kids hearing Beatles for the first time. So he's watching a reaction video of these kids listening to his music for the first time. And it just becomes this whole thing.
That reminds me of, it was in the early 2000s. It was either like a very early Onion article video or SNL sketch. And it was about a new invention called World of Warcraft, where you play a human in the real world who is playing World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And they're we're so excited for the sequel, World of Warcraft. And it just went on and on. And that's like exactly what that sounds like.
Well, that reminds me, in The Sims, you can make your Sims play The Sims.
Right. Yeah.
On a computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of this makes sense to me.
I know. But it's on there.
Following down that same rabbit hole, I mean, you could keep getting more and more removed, right? I mean, you could actually keep doing that for as long as people were into it. It's weird.
Absolutely.
So strange. I haven't seen those, but it's interesting.
I totally date myself, but I just keep thinking back to those times when I was on like a 56K modem and trying to watch like 15 seconds of any kind of video clip that wasn't pixelated and buffering and all that kind of thing, let alone what we're up to now, and someone reacting to a reaction video of someone's music of something other. And even like with YouTube, remember for a long time, you couldn't have anything beyond like 20 minutes when it first started.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, and then eventually
now they have like looped videos that go on for 10 hours. It's like, you want to hear this annoying song for 10 hours? I got it. Like, you can find anything on there.
I use the long videos. They have like sleep meditation and like sleep meditation music and stuff.
Gosh.
Those are life-changing.
You know how people on Spotify, they get like their yearly, like, these are the songs you listen to the most. I remember seeing like so many people that were like their top listening was to like a Box fan. on Spotify. Like their most listened to thing was like, it was like 10-hour loop of a box fan or something. And I was just
hilarious.
like, buy a box fan.
Yeah.
The
I haven't found long ones on Spotify before. Like anytime I search like meditation music or whatever on Spotify, it's just like playlists of like 3 to 6 minute songs.
There is a whole like genre. It's called like binaural.
Yeah, binaural.
I don't know how to pronounce it, but oh my gosh. I remember I had somebody say like, "Oh, have you ever looked at this before?" And I was like, "No, I don't think so." And then like just sat down in a room and like had it like on like surround sound, and I was just like, I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Typically I don't sleep well, which is why I know about all the things that you're talking about now. But ASMR stuff,
yes,
ASMR stuff. I mean, I ran into it maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and it's life changing to me. I mean, it literally zonks me out to a place where I can finally sleep. It's amazing. It's made a world of difference, and that gets into the binaural videos, and it gets into all that stuff.
Absolutely.
That for me,
you've got a whole generation now of people that are just that have these like anxieties, and I think things that stem from things like OCD, and I think we all have a little bit of it here and there. And I'm the same way. I have so much trouble sleeping, but you watch these satisfying videos of like people cutting soap and like all these like just things, and I sit there and I'm just like, yeah, this is what I want to watch right now. This is gonna make me sleep.
It works. I mean, it really works. I'm such a big fan. And when I happened to stumble across it years ago, it was like, oh, thank God. I mean, like, because I don't sleep well, like I said, and it was really the only thing that kind of zones me out to a place where I can finally relax.
Right. Because there's no context. You're not following something. You don't have to think. You're just mindlessly watching something happen, and it's happening perfectly. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you're watching something or listening to something that's like perfectly arranged in a way to be like calming. And yeah, that's honestly, I feel like those YouTube markets are just like booming right now. And you've got the box fan people, you've got your pimple popping people. You've got no, just me. Okay. You've got your soap cutting, like, what do they call it? The moon sand stuff. Like, there are so many things that I've found just like by being like, all right, I can't sleep. What am I going to find on here? But there's
Mark, are you familiar with any of these or no?
I'm familiar with ASMR, but not for the reasons you're talking about.
Oh, you've got to go down this rabbit hole, Mark. You will have the best sleep of your whole life.
Totally.
Well, interesting enough, I do have problems. I don't have problems getting to sleep. I have problems getting good sleep. During time. I probably need to have a sleep study done and that type of thing. But I was talking with some other guests back in, I guess that was September, about they knew exactly what you were talking about right now, but they didn't know there's like this whole other like quote unquote dark side to ASMR, depending on what rabbit hole you want to go down.
Oh boy!
And because of a guest, that's what I kind of know. I know that.
Wait,
I'm like afraid to ask.
I know, same.
Come on, Mark, spill it. What is it?
But now you have to tell us.
I guess it depends on what you consider dark, but if you're into pornography, there's a whole realm of ASMR in that realm.
That makes sense.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you think about what it does for people in terms of being able to relax and get them to sleep, then the adult entertainment industry has gone that direction as well. And there's a whole niche of it, which I didn't know anything about. And then, this one.
When I first heard about ASMR, I was like, wait, is it like a sex thing? So
it sounds like BDSM.
Yeah.
So it like just in your brain, you're like, wait.
Yeah. But it makes sense that there is kind of the both sides of it, because when I learned about ASMR, I was surprised that it was not necessarily a sexual thing.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Well, because it's people like talking in this like really soothing voice, and it's
right.
like, it's got this weird like, and it's like a calming thing. But I feel like
that's what it is.
Absolutely, that you hit the nail right on the head.
It's so weird too, because I mean, I think half the reason that people are just kind of wired to stay awake and they're not falling asleep is screen time, right? I mean, like everyone's got so much screen time under their belt every single day that it gets tougher and tougher because it's harder to shut your brain off. And then here, one of the answers is more screen time.
Right.
That's just weird.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
The way that I use it is more of an auditory thing versus a visual thing, but it sounds like, Leah, you like the visuals more. So
I'm one of those people that, I feel like I'd rather, especially like if Nick is asleep and I can't sleep, I'd rather pull out my phone and have it like completely sound turned all the way down and be able to watch somebody like cleaning the shit out of a rug. You know what I'm talking about? Where they literally like power wash a sidewalk or they do something and I'm just like, yeah, that's satisfying. I can go to sleep now. Like, I don't know what it is about it that calms me. But there's just like some weird like serotonin release that you get from these kinds of satisfying things.
I think it has to do with repetition too, right? I mean, like if you're just saying the same thing over and over and your brain is slowly shutting down because there's not a lot to process. You're just witnessing the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's all very like just it's very basic information that your brain is taking in. You're just kind of like, oh, it's gonna, this like power press is gonna squish this thing and then it's over. You know what I mean? Like you're not like, oh, what's the plot of this? How is it gonna play out? There's no like I can't tell you how many times I'll come home from work and especially right now during COVID, it's kind of not like, what do you want to do tonight? It's more, what do you want to watch tonight? And I'm like, some nights I'm like, I just want to do something mindless. I'd rather watch something on YouTube. I'd rather watch something that's going to be like really, mindless. I don't have to think too hard. And then of course there's the days where I'm like, I want to watch a Christopher Nolan movie. It's like opposite ends of the spectrum, but it's definitely satisfying and calming to like be in that mindset of just like not having to like turn your brain all the way on. It's got to access like some kind of part of your brain right between like being like conscious or something. I don't know. There's a science behind it.
Do you actually experience like the tingles and stuff that they talk about with ASMR stuff or no?
I've never been one for like the ASMR where it's more like the sound stuff. Okay. I'm more for the visual stuff for sure. Like when they cut moon sand or like they cut soap or like those kinds of like weird things. The things where it's like, oh, it shows like a production line of like this object being made and it fits directly into this stupid little other thing. You know what I mean? It's those stupid things where it's like you see like a supply line of something and you're like, that's going to fall in that hole and it's going to fit. And it just goes into this mold and you're like, yeah, that's what I wanted.
I got you. I'm a Virgo in every sense of the word. So stuff like that is completely satisfying to me.
Yes, absolutely.
I was going to say,
about it.
I think it's like a true form of meditation because it makes your brain focus on a thing.
Yes.
And it makes it just get rid of all of the other like background noise. And you just get to like focus on one thing and watch it happen or listen to it happen.
Yeah.
And then it gives your mind the ability to like focus on only one thing that is not stressful.
And I feel
which allows you to sleep.
I feel like there's a lot to be said about blue light as well. Like they say that blue light, if you're on screen time, that it can keep you awake and things like that. But there's a connection, I think, between that and something like reading. Like a lot of people will read to fall asleep, like an actual physical book, because you're not getting that blue light from that book, but it's also doing the same thing where it allows you to kind of hone in on like the words in front of you. And it turns your brain off to like, oh, this happened today, or I'm feeling this way. It just kind of makes you kind of go into this little place and stay there.
Totally.
Well, I got to say, Mark, if you're not familiar with the lighter side of ASMR and it sounds like you have sleep problems like I do. So, I mean, honestly, I would take a look into it because it's become very helpful for me.
No, I definitely will. And listening to the three of you talk about it, it makes me want to look into, the more positive side or lighter side of it. And good night, Bill. Thank you for joining us from down over there in, I think, Florida, I want to say.
Yeah, he's in Florida. Good night, Dad. Thanks for tuning in.
Cute. My parents don't pay attention to anything that I do on social media.
Oh, my dad probably talks to Mark more than I talk to Mark.
Really?
I would say that's probably accurate. He probably, or at least equal amounts. Anytime I do anything, he's immediately sending things to Mark. I think he probably sends stuff to Mark before I have a chance to even send it to Mark.
Yeah, it almost became a little bit of a running joke that Leah knows obviously her dad very well, that if she sent something to me, it's I bet you my dad's going to send it. And then within a minute, I'll have something from my dad.
Yeah.
And then he's been sharing a lot of my posts recently, which I appreciate that kind of thing. And he's just very proud of his daughter. So I have no issues with that whatsoever.
I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for my dad's support. He's there backing me, 100% of the time. So yeah, I'm
Leah,
very grateful.
What kind of music do you do? I don't think we've talked about that.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that.
So I do a little bit of, I kind of do a lot of different stuff. So Mark found my YouTube channel, I think through a Phantom of the Opera cover that I did. And so that was kind of how we connected. I have a YouTube channel where I specifically only upload covers, I believe is the one that I have a couple. So I do have a channel specifically for covers. I really enjoy kind of reimagining things. And I did go to school for a short amount of time to do classical training musically and vocally. So I am classically trained. I enjoy doing Broadway opera, things like that. But I was also, and I guess technically am still also in a rock band called Leave Earth. And that's sort of got an Evanescence-y vibe.
What's the name?
It's called Leave Earth. It's kind of hard to find. So I will put it actually in the chat so that
Please
way
do, yeah.
You guys can find it. Here, let me type it in here because it's got some slashes in it, and I'm not sure if this will show up in the full chat, where the viewers can see it. But I am going to type it. So this is in the chat. Oh, with the hosts and other guests. See, so with the area with comments, it's not coming up in there, but yeah, I do kind of a lot of other things. I do a solo project where it's more of an indie thing where just anything that kind of pops into my brain, I'll create. And I really have a love for all things music. So I'm not really married to one genre, I guess. But yeah, I really enjoy singing. I can play piano slightly, but mostly just singing anything and everything.
I love that. I have, and I'm kind of similar that I just like to create a lot of different types of music. I just love talking with people who aren't really aligned with one thing or another and just kind of do a lot of different things. That's very cool.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So I don't think it showed up in the regular chat. I'm not sure how to put it in there, but I can probably link it into the Facebook post for this, so that way maybe we can find it. Let me see if I can do it that way. But yeah, my band, we haven't really put anything new out in a while, but like I said, we did get together over the summer and kind of wrote some stuff, but I have yet to finish it just because studio access at the moment. My husband owns a studio and runs a studio, but even with that being said, it's not always something I can just get in and do whenever I want. But
he owns a studio. I'm sorry, where are you? Ohio, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Where in Ohio?
So we're in Columbus, central, right in the middle.
Yeah.
Smack dab in the middle.
Interesting. What's the studio?
It's called Capitol House.
Okay.
So
I've got friends there, which is the only reason. I've got some musical friends there. I was just curious.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I feel like Columbus is awesome. There's a lot of really musical people in this area. Ohio in general, I mean, we have 21 Pilots. We've got so many acts that have come out of here, and the last couple of years that have just like been crazy. So yeah, it's really, really awesome scene to be in.
That's very cool.
Cool.
Yeah, and I can throw in there that when I was doing my deep dive through YouTube, I was looking for kind of the opera covers, and I saw that this female was doing music of the night. So I'm like, okay, this will be interesting. It might be easier for that female to hit those notes that Michael Crawford normally hits. And I was just like blown away by her version. So then I did what I normally do. I went to her channel. I started looking at what else has she covered, and there's some other interesting covers that were in there. So then I'm like, how do I get a hold of her? And I just happened to find her on Facebook, and it took a little while because Facebook's not the most reliable thing in terms, especially if you're not connected with somebody.
Right.
Yeah, and then eventually Leah got back to me and said I was really curious about her voice and her training, and I wanted to do a written interview and all this kind of stuff. And that's how we ended up getting connected. And then I absolutely love many of the more recent things that she's done within the last year and a half. And like she said, she's covered a wide variety of music. And my mom loves her voice, and my mom's very particular. She doesn't like a lot of, especially female vocals. She loves Leah's voice. And,
I can't wait to listen. I'm gonna look it up as soon as
thanks.
we're done here.
Totally.
Yeah,
I put it in a link in the comments. So you guys should also link if you can from your phones. I'm not sure if you're recording from your phones or not, but if you can link, because I'd love to be able to find you guys as well on there.
I am recording from my phone, but I can see if I can type it in.
I was
This
going to
is
say,
one of
I'm not
those
sure if
times
we're
where I
able to
feel
go
like an
back
old
in.
person.
And I know.
Well,
That's why I was like, I'm just going to have to go in on my phone and do it. I'm lucky to have got this on my iPad because my laptop is literally sitting beside me and I could not get it for the life of me to work on there.
And Leah, I can do two things. I can also put the links in for everybody into the chat once we're done. And
perfect.
I could also hook all three of you guys up together so you can know each other's music, from the Joy Thieves to your work
awesome.
and Anna's work with Datenite and all that kind of thing. So you know each other's stuff and you can find it.
Yeah, please.
Because I think everything that you guys have described as far as like your styles of music, I would be so open to like wanting to listen to and stuff. Because I'm all about like indie pop is like, since COVID started, I feel like I've been trying to find indie pop stuff that kind of keeps the good mood flowing. And then also that kind of like ethereal, like you said, like, what's the shoegazing? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
I don't know why I always want to say showgazing, but shoegazing I feel like is another one of those things that is kind of like that ethereal sort of like, it gives you just good feelings. So that's a whole lot of like really good stuff. I feel like during COVID, especially to like put you in like a really awesome mood.
You know, we kind of talked about this, Mark and I kind of talked about this on our interview, but we wrote the entire Burying Kind EP that we did. And my other half of that, his name is Scott David, is just this amazing vocalist. And he has this special way of, it's dark. I mean, the music is dark, and then there's always this really crazy, hopeful light at the end of it. And having it come out right now, right before it feels like things are starting to become normal again. It just feels like it was the perfect time. So hopefully you might like it. So
yeah, no, I'm looking forward to hearing everything you guys have out there.
Yeah, no, it's funny for me because me being the age I am or whatever, I always like to instead of call it shoegaze, I just call it shoegazi, like fugazi. I think it sounds better to me.
Fugazi, I love it.
Yeah,
as a fan of shoegaze and fugazi, that's perfect.
There we go. And like I told Dan and Scott David, and so Leah and Anna, the music that those guys have put out is really something special. It's not just me. I mean, the notices that they're getting already for something that they weren't sure about, like we're just doing this for fun and for ourselves. It is all you Alice fans out there, Captain Blackwood and Industrial Girl and anyone else, and Sunrob, I see you're in there still too. I think you're really going to dig this music. So if you love anything within that alternative goth, the shoegazi world, I think you're really going to dig. And again, it's available now. So you can go right to Bandcamp for the Burying Kind, and you're really going to like that. That's a free plug because I truly love that music, and I can't wait for my CD to show up so I can play it all the time.
It's on its way, buddy.
Yeah, and I've told Leah this too about her. God, now I'm having a brain fart because of too much beer or something. But your cover of is it Never Enough?
Never Enough.
Okay, yeah. That I played that so many times before I was doing interviews. That it would kind of get me pumped up and get me a little bit emotional. And her voice just sings over everything, and I like it better than the original, which might be sacrilege to some people. But
thank you.
I absolutely love her version of
What?
it.
I'm actually, that makes me more excited to hear it because I didn't care too much for the original. So
Oh,
I'm
really? So
excited to
Lauren,
hear a
Lauren
version-
Allred, I
version of
believe,
it.
was like somebody from the Voice or something. The original vocalist. She wasn't the girl that played her in the movie. Like in The Greatest Showman, the woman with like the beautiful red hair, that's like in the ball gown and everything. She's not the actual vocalist that sings the song. So
Okay.
the actual vocalist, yeah, her name is Lauren Allred. And I think, I mean, I like her voice a lot, but yeah, I think I was confused because it took me a while to figure that out. But yeah, I think she was like a finalist on The Voice. I don't know if she won, but she was like in the, you know, in the top something or another.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm excited to hear your version because hers was fine.
Thanks. I think I always like whatever version I hear first of something. You know what I mean? Like, have you guys ever listened to an acoustic version of a song or like a reimagined version of a song, and then you hear the real thing and you're like,
Yeah, totally.
like, I feel like that's how I always am. I'm like, oh, I've heard Summer of '69 by Bryan Adams a jillion times in a million different ways, but there was one specific way when he played it on like an MTV Unplugged session or AOL Unplugged session or something. And to this day, it's like the only version of it that I enjoy listening to because of just like, I don't know, like the way that I heard it and the way that I like connected to it the most, you know?
Do you think it was because it was the first version that you heard? It just kind of burned itself into your brain, or?
I think it's because I heard that version the most. I don't know if my dad maybe played that version the most, like when I was a kid or something like that. But like the live version, I feel like has so much more like something to it.
Okay. And thanks, Industrial Girl. I understand you're going over probably the Bar Sinister stream. No, I totally understand. And yeah, please DM me about those LA bands that I might be into. So I thank you for taking the time, and hopefully see you soon. I do have more streams coming up this week, so check out the Instagram for everything that's coming up. But yeah, and I still remember when I saw Anna. There's such an amazing community of local musicians here in Seattle. I'm sure there are in other areas where you guys are too, but here in Seattle, when I've gotten a chance to see these bills, and your partner Anna opened the show, I remember, at the Sunset, and then Datenite came on, then Katie Cuffle came on, who was actually in that intro that I did for the Fun Table sessions tonight.
Katie's great.
Yeah, just like there's so much freaking talent here. And I remember I brought one of my former coworkers to the show, and she's not used to going to concerts, and I'm like, she was like standing in the back, and I was motioning to her to come up closer to the stage, and she was like, "No, I'm fine." I'm like, "This is not a metal show. It's not a mosh pit or anything.
You're not going to get knocked down."
Yeah, our shows are extraordinarily chill.
Yeah, so come up here, and there are so many of the other musicians in the audience that obviously need you guys and friends of everybody. And it's just this wonderful community, and I think that's probably the biggest aspect that I miss is the community aspect of not only seeing people that I know or will get to know, but also new folks too. And that includes the fans. Being a photographer and covering some of the shows around town, if I'm being a little bit more extroverted that night, then I might say, "Hey, what's going on?" I remember I was covering baby metal at the Paramount, and these two guys were sitting next there, and they're kind of looking at me kind of funny, like, "Why's he got that camera bag, and why's he got this other kind of stuff?" And I just started talking to them, and they were talking to me about their little pop figures that they got of the different members of baby metal and all this kind of stuff, just totally geeking out. And I said, "Yeah, so I'm going to be down there shooting the Who, who's opening, and then the baby metal's on next. And so can you guys just watch my shitty hoodie that I have here that no one's going to steal, but just going to watch it?" And it was just cool talking to people. And some people came down that saw me, which was really weird, and wanted to get pictures with me. I'm like, "How do you know me?" Through Facebook. I follow you on Facebook. I follow you on Instagram. I'm like, "Oh, that's really cool. And how are you? And what's your name again?" And that kind of thing. And I'm like, I don't think about myself that way at all. I mean, at all. But they want to get selfies with me and stuff. And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, take as many pictures as you want." I'm just a local dude, taking pictures and covering shows and stuff. But if you want to talk shop about baby metal and the Who and anybody else, and I'm more than happy to. And I'm just a regular guy. But they have this built up picture in their head because of social media that I'm this thing. It's like, I wake up, I go to the bathroom like everyone else. I eat meals. I do everything else. So I have ups and downs and all that. And that's why it kind of reminded me that social media wise, that I need to, at times, let people know that life is not perfect for me. It's not all about, oh, I get to talk to this guest for an hour and I got to hang out with this person. No, some days suck, just like some days suck for you. And some days are amazing. And I love that kind of thing. So don't think that I have any kind of perfect life, because I don't. And people that have been watching these streams for the last 10 months absolutely know that, because I'll talk about it randomly when I feel like it. So I nearly got kicked from a community for saying Alice's take on Land of Confusion was better than Phil Collins. Oh, okay. Wow. That's those social media groups. I mean, take them with a grain of salt. Some of them are amazing, and some of them are just drama. So it just depends on which one you're a part of.
Yeah, I don't do the drama stuff at all. I mean, if any sort of group that I'm a part of even leans that way, I'm out.
Yeah, no, I totally feel you on that. That's why I tried to move more to Instagram myself personally as a media person, because there's so much drama on Facebook. It's like, here's my content, here's my picture, here's what's coming up on Instagram, and you can just kind of go, and hopefully Anna comes back, because she just disappeared for some reason.
I thought I clicked something, and I was like, why did one of my bubbles disappear? Oh, maybe her phone died or something. I had to, at one point I had to I don't know if you guys saw me, I was like plugging in my iPad, because I got down to like 10% battery, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah. These things, I'm using my phone, as most people know, and that absolutely sucks out the battery life if you're using life. Especially these are get kind of long at times, because some they just kind of do. But so I have all my stuff plugged in. Plus I have my headphones plugged in, so I never run out of battery when I do these, because I just know.
Yeah.
And Dan, I know you've talked about the Joy Thieves a bit, and can you actually talk a little bit more about? I mean, it's an amazing group of people that are a part of it, have come through it, or in that. It's really almost like a community of musicians that are in the Joy Thieves, and it's much bigger than I think maybe people realize.
Yeah, I mean, there's 50 plus members at this point in time. It's just it started off a few years ago, where I had written some songs, and I started just kind of reaching out to some people who I thought could help me get the vision out there. And I reached out to some musical heroes of mine, and long story short, a few of them said yes. And I guess that's exactly how it started. All of a sudden, when they said yes, then I asked a few more people, and it's a very Chicago sounding band. It's industrial rock. So, I mean, Chicago really arguably is the best industrial rock city in the world. So, involves band members from bands like Ministry and Pigface and Stabbing Westward and KMFDM and My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, bands that I, back in the 90s was just in love with. And it was an interesting kind of social experiment too, to reach out to some of these people who, kind of like you were saying, they're just regular people. But in my mind, watching them when I was 22 years old and watching them in the clubs in Chicago were just the everything. And reaching out to them and saying, hey, I'm doing this thing. Maybe you'd be interested in joining me, and having them join me. It was crazy. So yeah, since then it's kind of expanded over the past 3 years. So like I said, there's 50 plus members.
Wow.
We've continued to release music that I love, music that's kind of inspiring to us. And it's never been about performing live. It's never been about doing anything except for making music that we all love, and connecting different people from different groups together to make that music. So one of my favorite stories is that there's a couple of members from Stabbing Westward, who was one of my favorite kind of industrial rock bands in the day. Two of the people, one was the original drummer back from 94, 95, and one was a guitar player who was most recently with them, and they'd never even met. They were in the same band. But the reason they know each other now is because of the Joy Thieves. We've kind of connected them. So it's been this kind of crazy experiment. It's been super, super fun, and I've just had a blast doing it. It's been a lot of work. Obviously, when there's 50 plus members, there's a lot of moving parts. So It keeps me very, very busy, but I love every last minute of it. It's very fun.
I can't even imagine working with that many people. Like, that's one of those, like, I don't want to say like too many cooks, but I'm like, I don't even know how it would function like that. So you guys must all be really in sync with each other as far as like inspiration and stuff.
Yeah, it's been kind of wild trying to get that figured out. And the other part is there's band members all around the world. So, I mean, one of the guitarists that I work with all the time lives in Scotland. So everything is done remotely. So while we do a lot of the mixing and stuff here in Chicago, and I guess we're kind of based out of Chicago because I'm here. I mean, long story short, I'm kind of the linchpin. I'm the guy who keeps it all together and funnels all the stuff. So I'm taking tracks from people all around the world and kind of doing the mixes here and making it happen here. But yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. It gets kind of crazy at times, but I live for that. I love it.
That's good.
Yeah. So, Dan, are you a native of Chicago then, that area?
I am. Yeah. I was actually born and lived in Iowa for many, many years, but I came here like in middle school. So I've been in Chicago for many, many, many years. So back in the heyday of like industrial stuff, when Ministry was here and Pigface was here and all that sort of stuff, that's the kind of era where I was going to clubs and watching bands like that. So that's been kind of the inspiration for the whole thing. So like I said, getting to work with those people, it's ridiculous. Honestly, I pinch myself every day. It's just been so much fun to take childhood heroes of mine and be able to actually create music with them.
I can only imagine what that must be like. I mean, I've never had a chance to create anything with some of the people that I consider heroes, but I've had a chance to at least interview some of them. And it was like, I can't believe that I'm talking to this person for 30 minutes or even 45 minutes. And if it's before COVID and something in person where I get to talk to, well, let's talk about Jeff Bridges, that kind of thing when I met the dude. And it's just like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
I'm just this regular person in Edmonds, Washington. I'm not affiliated with Rolling Stone magazine or anything on a big entity. It's just me. And I can look at this picture. I have him up there right there, the picture I have with him from 2014. I just laugh when I look at that because it's like, how the fuck did that happen? But at the same time, I feel really good about it too.
Absolutely.
Because I made it happen after 2 years of trying.
And that's kind of part about the Joy Thieves too, is that it's taken a very minimal amount of effort to do what we've done. I mean, basically we just there's no pressure on anybody to do anything, and I think that helps people come into the fold. That they're not feeling pressure. You got to do this and you got to do this. It's literally just whoever wants to contribute is more than welcome to contribute, and we do the brunt of the work, of the mixing and the songwriting and stuff like that. But it was interesting how it started. I mentioned him earlier, but there's a vocalist called Chris Connolly. He's a solo artist, but he also was in Pigface. He was in Ministry. He was in all these bands that I just loved back in the day. And the entire thing started when I just reached out to him completely randomly. I mean, we did not know each other at all. And I reached out to him and I just sent him a Facebook message and said, I've written a tune and it's got you written all over it. What are the chances that you'd be down to try to do vocals on it? And he was like, send it my way. We'll see. And, 24 hours later, I'm sitting on vocal tracks that he's just sent me for a song that I wrote. And there's no feeling in the world like it. And it just kind of exploded from there. So it's in a certain way, it's kind of taken over my world in the last few years, but in a good way though.
Yeah, no, I would say in an amazing way. It reminds me of James O'Barr, who's the creator of The Crow, who was inspired by The Cure and Joy Division and Bauhaus and all these other kind of bands. And then when it came time to do the film in 1994, that he had The Cure write a specific song for that film that he was inspired by them to do his comic book. It's like everything came full circle. And I've had a chance to talk to James multiple times over the years. And he's just like, I still can't believe that this happened.
Well, and that soundtrack is one of my favorites too. I mean, when you're talking about soundtrack music, the soundtrack for The Crow with, you're talking about the Cure song and Machines of Loving Grace and all these bands that I absolutely love. That's like one of my very favorites.
And it's a movie that I feel like is such a cult classic that like, it's crazy that the people involved with like creating a film like that are like, oh my God, these people know who I am. You know what I mean? Like, Because we all think of them as like, oh, you made this crazy movie, but they're thinking of, oh, you made this crazy music, you know?
And that's what it is. I mean, when you're just a fan of one another, it's a very cool feeling. You know, it's an honor to make music with these people. I mean, that's the bottom line. Well, I never imagined that any one of the people who I'm working with now would ever consider working with me. And the fact that they do, and the fact that we just have fun doing it and they've become friends is just like such a bonus. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, and Anna, welcome back. I didn't mean to ignore you or anything. I know we kind of lost you for a little bit.
My phone died, which
Yeah,
is
you were right.
I called it.
And phone charger plugging into the same hole. That's been my problem with the iPhone since I think it was like iPhone 6, where they were like, we only need one hole. It's fine.
That was the dumbest
We don't need
thing.
one hole. We need multiple holes.
Yeah, we need a headphone jack. We need a charging port. Maybe one other one for like just in case we need something else.
Yeah, just in case. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I totally feel you because I'm on an iPhone. I had to get an adapter because of the lightning port. Then they got rid of the headphone jack.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, we'll just include this little thing, you know, where you can it'll have like a little. I'm like, just put 2 holes on the phone. Why would you include a whole little cord that I'm gonna lose?
Right.
Like just put it back. Just put the hole back.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Also, the name of that thing is really upsetting.
Is it a dongle?
Yeah.
Why is that the thing that we call it? Why?
No, a dongle. It sounds like it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah. It sounds phallic. For sure.
Oh.
I never thought about that till you brought it up, but you're absolutely right.
Not the greatest.
Yeah.
There's just like a lot of other word options we could have chosen.
I know. Adapter.
Yeah. That's like a really solid choice.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I keep muting myself because I'm all sniffly. So.
Oh no, that's okay. You know, we're totally loose here. As we know, I think it's funny that well, I don't know if it's funny, but if that person who's going to be interviewing me in the next couple of weeks goes back and watches all these fun tables, oh man, she's going to have all kinds of ammunition against me. I mean, especially after I had a couple of drinks, because I'm a real lightweight now. I don't drink other than when I'm doing social things, which is basically this kind of stuff. I don't drink.
Yeah.
And so, like, I've already had 2 beers, and these are like, what are these? Like almost 10%, which to me is a lot because I'm not drinking. Yeah, who knows what I've been saying over the last 22 episodes of these things, and so
I just have to go back over and rewatch them and make sure.
Well, I'll find out when she asks me because again, she is a documentary filmmaker, so she's used to digging into the dirt, and we'll kind of see what happens. But it'll be interesting that. So it's also like with the folks that are watching this still that. Some people know certain things about me because they've watched a lot of these since the Alice tour, and then some people are new to me, so they've kind of seen bits and pieces of things, and so I don't really know what people know. So I'm always interested when they start asking me questions about, well, on that one thing you were saying this. I'm like, when the hell did I say that? So it's like, well, it's all out there, warts and all. That's why I do live streams. I'm not into doing things where I sit there and edit people and make it all picture perfect. I just like it the way it is. So if I said it, I said it. So I'll own it.
I said what I said.
yeah.
Did I stutter?
Exactly. I think back to the one that we did, Leah, with yourself and Anissa, which was really fun. I love that one.
Yeah.
And you're showing all the Star Wars stuff you guys had in your home. And
oh yeah, it's all backlit over here. You can see it happening. Well, that way. There it is. In all its glory.
See it.
Yeah.
What are we looking at?
This is all like just different Star Wars stuff.
Ah.
There's like helmets on display that you can see like in these 2 things right here.
Okay.
And then like there's actually shelves below those 2 that are just like filled with Star Wars action figures.
Cool.
Yeah, we're real big into it here in our house. So.
When I turned 5, I had a Star Wars themed birthday party.
Oh wow!
That's
Nice.
my biggest Star Wars fandom moment of my life.
My friends just had a child, and their last name is Shomo, and they made the child's middle name Han, so his name is
No way.
Ozzy Han Shomo.
No.
And they
my
tweeted
gosh.
Mark Hamill, and they were like, "Oh, this is his name," and he actually responded to it, and I was like, "That's just so cool."
That's wild.
He's, like 4 days old or something, and he got, and Mark Hamill knows he exists.
Wow. That's amazing.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
You do see stormtroopers, Ashen. Yes, there's a stormtrooper helmet and there's a Darth Vader helmet up there. You can probably see. Hold on, wait. That's everything's backwards on this thing. So that's the stormtrooper helmet, and then that's the Darth Vader helmet. I don't know if you can see, but it's like over there. I'm not gonna stand up. I did this once before, but it was on my phone, so it was easy, and I'm actually hooked up to a charger right now. Otherwise, I would stand up, but
no, it's all good. And hi, Ashen Dragon. Nice for you to I guess make yourself known if you just stumbled upon us on YouTube at this point. I know you're a Soap Girls fan as I am, but it's nice that you are here. And as he's done, Rob saying very cool, so must be a Star Wars fan as well as a Soap Girls fan. So yeah, and I'm always curious especially when I talk to musicians about where we're at. Not to get things too serious, but I for myself, I feel pretty good about. I cautiously feel pretty good about where we're headed in this year. That I think we're going to taking some steps towards eventually getting performances of some kind, if it's outdoors in the park in the summer, or some kind of level of something. What do all three of you feel is going to happen within the rest of 2021, just right now? And it could change, obviously, but what do you think is going to be happening performance-wise for musicians?
I'm hoping that we'll have shows back in 2021. That would be awesome. I'm pulling out ice cream right now.
Yeah,
By
you
the
are.
way, this is Ben and Jerry's brownie batter core.
Nice.
I'm just going at it. No,
Dude.
I'm hoping, and I know some states, and I'm not sure, like 100%, but I think there were a couple of, like maybe 3 or 4 states that are going back to like full capacity.
Yeah, there are.
Like by this summer. So I'm hoping in 2021 that every state will at least be back to full capacity. If not, then at least enough that, we can be comfortably playing smaller shows, more intimate settings, just to get back into it at all.
I think that's where I see Seattle going, because Inslee has been quite specific about the guidelines, and so I don't anticipate this year getting back to like all venues being at full capacity, but I can definitely see like the smaller venues or bigger venues being open at limited capacity, or smaller venues only, or outdoor concerts only, or something like that. But I definitely don't think that in Seattle we'll be playing like packed rooms this year.
It's one of those things too that, I mean, even if you open up kind of medium to larger size facilities, but only 25 or 50% capacity, it just monetarily, it's not a sustainable model. I mean, bands can't come and tour if there's only going to be 25% of the people in the house. It doesn't work monetarily. It can't work.
Right.
So I mean, that's the rough part. Even if people are willing to do it, it doesn't mean that the bands can afford to do that, or that that the venues could make enough money if it's just that few people there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping to start. I feel like we'll probably all have to start with more like local shows before we're able to travel and do those kinds of things. But
I think touring stuff is still pretty far off.
Mm-hmm. At least for right now. Maybe that's like a 2022 kind of a thing, but fingers crossed that it goes quicker than we expect. But I think, at the rate that the vaccinations are starting to roll out, it seems like I see people I've been seeing people left and right that are getting vaccinated, and I'm like, okay, you're not a doctor, you're not a teacher,
Right.
So it's starting to reach the muggles, you guys. We have a chance.
I was at the doctor for something unrelated the other day, and I was like, so like I teach horseback riding lessons, so I'm working with children. I'm a teacher, like, but I'm not a school teacher. Does that, like, do I fall under the current like category of people who can get it? And my doctor straight up was like, yeah, just don't tell him that.
So have you actually gotten your first vaccination?
I haven't yet. I'm on the list. But
that's awesome.
It's like, yeah, you basically like, once you are in a category that can get it, then you have to get on a list to sign up for an appointment.
Oh, okay.
It's like a whole thing.
I was surprised at how quickly salons opened. We were able to like immediately go back to having direct contact, and not just direct contact, but like touching people. And we weren't like in that first group of people that was like going to be vaccinated. And obviously, like, I was, to be honest with you, I was kind of okay with it, because I was like, I don't want to be in the first group of people.
Yeah.
Just in case there's some kind of crazy thing, but I was just surprised at, we were like in the first like line of things to open back up, but we were not in the first like group of people, to get vaccinated. And I'm leaning over people, like I'm touching their hair, like we're like right in each other's faces.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, hopefully in the near future, I think they said by fall that we should all be at least through our first vaccination or something like that. But
that's encouraging to hear.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think about this, Leah, that when we were trying to schedule your interview on the Alice tour, you had gone back to work. That's when I was trying to figure out what was going to work for you, schedule, that kind of thing. And for me, being over here in Seattle, just like Anna is, it was kind of like, you're already going back to doing, salon work and that kind of thing. And
oh, you're touching people?
Yeah.
I was surprised. I mean, we were closed from March 18th to May 15th. So almost exactly 3 months. And yeah, I was really surprised that we not only opened up so quickly, but also like, I mean, I don't think, granted, I mean, it's probably just because of priorities and like capacities of salons and things like that. But, we haven't been visited by state board or anything like that. You would think that they'd be like going and checking, making sure everybody's, following protocols and things like that. But I feel like everything's just been so crazy in the last year that, I mean, I'm kind of surprised, but not also at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to go back to the music thing, one thing that I've seen on the press side is that there's an artist that's going to be doing a concert in Florida where it's in person, socially distanced, so I don't know the capacity, but they're also doing the whole live stream at the same time. So people that are around the world can buy the tickets to help make up for the cost the money that they're losing. So I think that hybrid is something we're probably going to see quite a bit of, because it just kind of makes sense, just like what Dan was saying about bands can't tour, but if you can do 50% or less in person and then also sell tickets virtually, you can make up some of that money, and that's how you can kind of get past this, at least until we can have more people there in person.
Yeah.
But I had to have a letter from my employer for my first job. Yeah, there's all that kind of thing. My survival job that I do part-time, they were actually giving out COVID shots, but I found out it was just 2 people within their company at the place that I'm at. So it's just like, I was like, why do they have all this stuff all lined up? And they had you stand here and you stand here and you stand there. And they've done it like 3 times, I think, since I've been there. I've only been there a couple of months now. And then I found out it wasn't for the public. It was strictly for their employees who work with a vulnerable population. So, okay, just makes perfect sense to me of why you're doing it then. Can I get in on that? They said no, but
worth a shot.
Yeah, exactly. It'll happen soon enough. We're getting closer to it. So, oh my goodness.
Well, and as a professional performer, I hope that it's sooner than later. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the spring and summer, because in theory, I have shows that are lined up, but everything's outdoors, everything's distanced, all that good stuff. So, and by now it's been a year, so there are systems in place to get that done, which I'm so glad about.
Yeah, I know for I think if you're doing any kind of festival, that's really questionable. But for things that are in the summer outdoors, on a different type of level, I think those things should be able to happen depending on where you're located.
We played some of those last year. We played some festivals and stuff like that, and where they were actually had like circles drawn in the lawn where clusters of people could be and stuff like that. They were all distanced apart. And I mean, it can be done. It took a lot of work, I think, on their part to do that. But especially now that it's been a full year, I mean, I would hope that the systems are in place to really be able to do that for people, because I think people need live music right now. I really do. I can't wait to the time where I can work, and I can't wait to the time where I can go see shows as well.
Yeah, I know one of the guests that I talked to was playing a show in Arizona. And everyone had to be like 4 people to a table. They're all sitting down. There's nobody standing up. It was a metal show too. And she was just saying how odd it was, but she was so happy to be on the stage anywhere, doing anything. And then for her also, she got to sit there in the audience at a table with her bandmates and watch the next band on stage. So she got to be a fan again and have that energy exchange. And she's like, oh, this is the first step towards what I really want to have happen within hopefully the next few months.
Well, last year got really weird. We were, like I said, towards the end of the summer and the fall, we were playing a lot of shows. Not a lot of shows, especially considering what we normally do, but we were playing shows, which was cool. But we made sure that going in, we were very safe. We made sure that we had plenty of space. There was plenty of space between the crowds and where we were. That's what we could do for us. And so there wasn't ever a time where I felt unsafe. But I'll tell you this, looking out onto the crowd was completely disturbing, because there was hundreds of people smashed together, not doing the right thing. It was really hard to play shows and stay in that mind space when you're watching people act recklessly. It was odd.
That's an interesting perspective. I didn't think about that from the band's perspective about what they're seeing out there. And like, oh my God, this is not.
Yeah, and especially for a band, I mean, when you're up there and you're trying to have a good time, and you're trying to, I mean, you're really the ringleaders of the night. You're making the night work, and we're up there and watching people like, oh my God, everyone's being so reckless. This is completely crazy. It was a very strange sensation, and one that I've never experienced before last year. That's for sure.
Wow. Yeah. And one thing I was mentioning, Dan, I don't know if you were with us at that time or not, but that I got a press release about a hybrid show where they're doing in person in Florida, but then they're also doing streaming at the same time. So that way they can kind of make up the money difference for this one particular artist that actually is one of the guitar influences for me. But I was like, there might see more of that kind of hybrid thing, at least for the transition of doing it wherever they have, like, I don't know, Texas, where they have lots of open in-person stuff, and then also being able to sell a ticket to someone like me up in Seattle that can also watch it that can't be there. We'll kind of see, but
well, and I kind of like what it's done. Obviously, it's not ideal, but I like what it's done for technology and in kickstarting this entire thing, where before this, nobody was thinking about those sorts of things, and it's kind of interesting to see where it's going to go in the next couple of years. But it was absolutely a jump start to all those kind of hybrid ideas, all the online show ideas, all those things that I don't think would have really existed too much without it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that's, again, if you want to call it a silver lining, call it what you want. The fact that people started to get creative during this time to figure out, so what are we going to do to make this work? Because we can't do what we used to do. So it's got to be something new, something different. Well, we can take part of A, part of B, part of C, and put this together, and let's see what the fuck happens. And if it works, okay, cool. If it doesn't, we got to kind of come back together again, brainstorm, and change it from A to D to F to M or something, and see what happens. And I do feel that that's kind of where we're at. And musicians, artists, theater people, actors, whoever, they're the people that are going to figure this stuff out, because that's how they think. They think creatively. And so there's a part of me that's really excited to kind of see what happens with the next couple of years. Like, what are we going to be looking at in 2023 as a live experience? That might be something completely different that was just mind-blowing that we never would have figured out back in 2019.
Yeah, I agree. Without the inspiration to have to do it, right? I mean, this year is like, it's not ideal, but it's certainly kicked everybody in the ass to figure stuff out.
Yeah, for sure. And I like the hybrid idea, as son Rob's saying. So, but for I think Anna's taking a break, or maybe her food's ready or something like that. But I think this
Sorry,
is actually.
I'm just eating.
Oh yeah, no problem. I was just gonna say, I think this is actually probably maybe a good time to kind of wrap this up. It's been so amazing having Dan and Leah and Anna here, and everybody in the chat. I know for you, especially for Leah, it's what 1 o'clock or something over there, or what?
Yeah.
or what have you. And then we got to push those clocks ahead an hour on Sunday, depending on what you got going on. Like in my case, that's not a good thing. But this has been an amazing fun table session, and I thank all three of you so much, and everybody that's in the chat so much for taking the time to hang out with us and shoot the breeze and all that kind of thing. And this is part of why I wanted to do it. It's just like a nice time to collect and have some creatives come together, and there's no big deals about it at all. And I think I will make sure that I put everyone's contacts in terms of their channels into the chat from Facebook and YouTube. I'll send it to you three directly privately so that you can check each other out.
Awesome.
And, I don't plan, again, like I said in my introduction, I don't plan on going anywhere. So I'm going to keep doing these things, fun tables, interviews, all that kind of thing. So just know that I'm here, and I'm going to keep pushing forward as much as I can with what I do organically. And Tony, thank you for joining us. You're over on the East Coast too, so it's getting kind of late for you. But I just appreciate everybody that's taken the time for doing anything and following anything that I do, and for all three of you taking the time tonight. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really a pleasure to meet both of you. That's awesome. This is very cool.
This has been very fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Have a good night, everybody. Stay safe, and I'll see you hopefully sooner than later.
Right on.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.